Hello everyone, welcome to another Tinfoil Tuesday. How's everyone doing? Hope you're having a wonderful week so far. We have all sorts of new tinfoil for us to gaze our eyes on today and wonder why. We have an update from Chris, we have some more from Hans Wormhat, we have Reptilians, we have Conspiracy Bingo. So we have a lot to go through. It's going to be a good Tinfoil Tuesday. As you can see, I'm all protected from the psycho waves and CIA infiltration beams with my alien baby hat and tinfoil jacket, which unfortunately gives me wider shoulders, but it's fine. It's a jacket. You get it. Welcome, everyone. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor and like the stream. If you're anywhere else, I guess just give me a thumbs up in real life. Do that. I will psychically, through the baby hat, feel your approval. I really, truly appreciate it. Let's see if I missed anything in chat. Nemesaur, thanks for 44 months. Professor Daddy 1118, thanks for 33 months, says 33 months, that's probably a conspiracy thing. It is, that's the Freemason number. Good call. 93% to level 1 and a hype train. Wow, a hype train already. Altered Undying with 31 months says 26 months up. It's actually 31. But still, I like the enthusiasm. Much appreciated. Hello, Polly as his cracker. How's it going? Sophie, what's up? How's everyone doing? Prepare your blood to start boiling for Hans. It might help. Altered Undying with 100 bits says, hype, hype, here for the train. Thank you. And that gets us over level 1. If you want to help support the show and the train, you can always become a subscriber, gift subs, use bits. And this won't help the train, but we are working towards our tip goal where I start making edited content again. And that'll be really cool. I have some ideas, so consider using the tip link. I get all of that money, which gives less to Jeff Bezos, which is cool, and it'll get us towards that goal. Zealous55, thanks for 47 months of subscription on Twitch, says, hey Hannah, it's been a super long time since I'm a dad and teacher, so I don't get to catch your streams live too often, just sending you love and letting you know I'm still sub girl. Oh, thank you. Understandable. I totally get that, like, most people watch my show as VODs. It's nice when people are live, but I get when they can't. I appreciate everyone who views it, whether they're a chatter, or a lurker, or a VOD watcher. You could be watching this 20 years from now, and you're just like, how did I even find this shit on YouTube? Either way, I appreciate you. Orion Cooper with a $5 super chat says, stupid brag, I debated Nathan Thompson on TikTok this weekend, i.e. he asked nonsense, then muted me instead of letting me answer, then banned me. Ooh, sounds thrilling. Sounds like that time I went on the Pee-Pee show. Very worthy of our time. So, how are you going? How y'all? I saw someone said they got a dog. That's cute. Ferris Hex, thanks for 40 months. 55% to level 2. I feel like I need to get better lighting. I feel like my Blu-rays aren't properly lit. Oh, fuck. Hannah mentions Blu-rays. That one I gave you for free today, accidentally. I'm preoccupied. It's on my mind. I'm in a good mood. I've been in kind of a crappy mood the past couple days. Nothing happened or anything. Just kind of like a, you know, a funk. Now I'm feeling good. That's good. Recording in car? True, you can also mark recording in car, since he's already here. Quickest one ever? Pretty close. 9 minutes in. I'm not even in the actual content yet. So, the Chris video, I'm skipping the first 4 minutes, by the way. Just because the first 4 minutes are literally him being frustrated that everyone he's talking to thinks the economy's gonna crash because of the tariffs and that people recognize that, oh, this is probably a bad idea. The first 4 minutes, Chris basically just says, you guys are idiots. Tariffs are great. This is all gonna be great. So in case you're wondering why we kind of start in media res here, that's why. We don't need to see that part. We get it. He's a flat earther. He's foolish. We don't need extra evidence on top of that. 55% to level 2. Oh! 83% to level 2, thanks to Artemis8192 with 50 months with Prime, says, "Greetings, Arena Champion. You're looking at the newest Lord of Madness. Excellent." Oh, that's so fun. I haven't gotten to the DLC yet. I'm still finishing up the main quest, because I like to do some side quests, main quest, then the DLCs. I'm excited, though. I hope you had a lot of fun. Of course, CC doesn't understand the economy. DC doesn't understand a lot of things. You could put a list of things he does understand, and it would be like a shopping list. Not even like your big shop of the week. Like midweek, you just want something special for dinner shopping list. Frizia, thanks for 57 months at tier 2, getting us over level 2 of the hype train. Nemesaur, thank you for gifting 10 tier 1 subs and getting us over level 4. 43% to level 5 on the hype train. Thank you, Nemesaur. You are always so generous with the gift subs, and it helps the stream go, and couldn't do it without people like you, so thank you very much. Hydrate. Can do. Mentioning Blu-rays as a free space all the time. There are times when we don't get it, right? There are days when we don't get that, right? I'm not crazy. Is this just something I've never noticed? Do we literally get it every time, and it's just something I've never noticed, and it's an accidental running gag? No, there's gotta be weeks where I don't do that. Right? Probably. Anyway. 43% to level 5 on the hype train. While that's going, we will get started on the Chris video. Like I said, skipping the first 4 minutes, because it's, you know, politics stuff that isn't really related to conspiracy outside of it's just incorrect. But it's not necessarily conspiracy, he's just kind of a fool. But, onto the conspiracy part. Let's get into it. Cthulhu Flower, thanks for 26 months, says, "Woo, made it the start. Glad you could make it."
Oh, man.
60% to level 5. I'm glad I actually started at the correct time today. I've been starting early so often, early became my normal time.
Okay. All right. I know. Bezos. I'm gonna have to bring it up. Okay, even though it's yesterday's news, it doesn't matter. Katy Perry and her friends and whoever else was in that bouncy house tent.
Why does he think they're friends? Does he just see any group of women together and assumes they're friends?
And that's what it was. That was let me ask you.
Have I seen the anti-woke right? Gamer types are mad Grand Theft Auto 6 isn't pro-cop enough for their tastes. Have they played... That's just bait, right? They've got to just be baiting people. Have they played the game ever? It's bait. It's got to be bait. It's bait.
Question. Have you ever been to the fair? I have. Do you have any kids? Have you ever brought them into a bouncy house? You know the door that opens up to the bouncy house and it flops back? That's exactly what that shuttle did. That fake piece of shit.
It didn't? He's talking about the Katy Perry Blue Origin flight? It didn't have a bouncy house door. It had a normal door for a craft like that. It had like a hatch type door. I don't know how he's comparing this to a bouncy house. I have been in many a bouncy house in my time. As a kid, I was an aficionado of the bouncy house, of the moon bounce, of any inflatable recreational device. Really, as a kid, I was very into. So, the idea that he thinks that that ship or that capsule looked like that makes me wonder what moon bounces he's been on in his life. Overthought with 100 bits says, "Look at CC here being based and not believing stereotypes like women can't get along." 63% to level 5 with a minute left.
Shuttle that they said went into space. Where did it go? Well, wasn't it? It shouldn't have been like hot as hell when it came down. Where was the smoke? Where are the dark spots? But no, they put the steps right up and the door pops open and there's Katy. If you think that was real, you're delusional. Delusional. That was a bouncy house and they were sitting inside of the bouncy house and they came out of a bouncy house.
You're all crazy. It was a bouncy house. A bouncy house, I tell you. I'm the only sane one here. Look what... Calm down, man. You're talking about fucking bouncy houses. That rocket ship wasn't a rocket ship. It was a bouncy house.
Kissing the ground.
I'm gonna say idiot thinks they're a genius on the bingo card. 30 seconds left in the hype train.
I don't know what the fuck she was doing. These stars are sold out. I've been telling you from the beginning.
Bingo isn't working in YouTube chat. Is it working in Twitch chat? It is. Okay, I'll copy paste it. Phoenix Leftist, thanks for a 15 stream streak. Let me copy paste it for you. Sorry about that. Don't know why the bot isn't working currently on YouTube.
Beginning, they're all sold out. They have been all of their careers. They got their career from selling their fucking soul. All of them. All Hollywood actors. All singers.
You think he's gonna blow his voice out one of these days? He has a great rant voice. It's like he's, what's that comedian whose whole thing is, I'm angry! He was on Jon Stewart sometimes. Fucking Lewis Black or something. He's got that kind of shouty voice. He has a good comedy shouty voice, but he doesn't put it to good use. Kind of a shame. Thank you for the hype train, everyone.
Football players. All these famous people don't accidentally fall into this billions of dollars. Okay? Don't you?
I mean, you're kind of putting the cart before the horse, aren't you? You're saying, like, isn't it crazy that all these famous people are rich? Like, of course it's correlated. Like, they're rich because they're famous, because they're in demand for whatever they might do, whether it be sports or general entertainment, you know, to have people ask them to endorse their products or be a part of their whatever projects they're doing. Not a coincidence that famous people are rich and potentially vice versa. They go hand in hand often.
You see this? That's what they are.
Black's Law Dictionary request from Ashley. What did you want me to look up? Non-compos mentis? Okay.
Okay? That's what they are, and they'll always be that way.
Is this gonna be, like, not mentally competent or something?
That's why they're hidden in these mansions around gated communities. You'll never see them, and if you do, well, they're going to be surrounded with a bunch of people. Okay? And that's what this...
Doesn't understand their problem is capitalism on the bingo card?
Society is. You sell out, you sell your soul, you become rich. That's how it is. You can pretend like you're singing, you'll have backup singers, we'll make you look like a movie star.
If it's that easy, Chris, why don't you sell out? Surely if it's that easy, you can just right now be like, I would love to sell out to the Illuminati. Show up at my door and we'll make a deal. But you don't do that, do you? Thought.
And just sell your soul. Come on. Come on. Sell your soul. You'll have billions. That's what it is with Hollywood. That's what it is with movies. Okay? That's what it is with sports. That's why I won't watch any of it. That's why I won't watch football, baseball. You have my permission to...
So interesting how he likes to set himself apart from other humans by claiming, like, I'm so much better than you for not indulging in, like, enjoyable pastimes. It's like he makes his own life miserable and then thinks he is holier than thou for doing such. Quite strange. I don't know if it's just a way for him to disconnect himself from the general public and feel separate from society. Weird. Ashley, Altered Undying says, oh, Hannah, I want to share the things I'm working on for a mage game. Please play. Forced landings strands passengers on Holiday Island. A commercial, is this the correct thing? A commercial jet leaving the UK for America has been forced to land on a small island by the name of Shoalmire off the coast of New England. Due to poor conditions and technical issues, the commercial plane was forced to land. Shoalmire is a vacation destination that many flock to during the summer months. However, during off-season, many of its residents move to the mainland. The island does have a small landing strip for small prop planes. Luckily for the plane, the landing strip is long and wide enough for the plane to land, but there's no space for it to turn around. This has left big questions about whether or not the plane will be ever to be retrieved. While the storm rages on, no one can guess where the passengers will get to the mainland. I like props. Good on you for doing it in, like, a fun way. What was that thing I'm looking up again? Non-compos mentis.
Contact the authorities if you see me with a hat on at a football game or I'm painted. That's not me. Oh shit. Unbelievable. Well, now we're talking about in the flat earth,
Non compos mentis, Latin, not sound of mind, insane. This is a very general term embracing all varieties of mental derangement. See insanity.
the image that's on the moon, and I'm never gonna this sucks. Now that I'm beginning to look at it more and more, it's looking like a map on the moon. I heard about
something I find interesting, by the way. You guys wouldn't necessarily notice this, which fair enough, it's my job to point it out. Chris usually mentions in his videos whatever is the topic in Flat Earth at the time, so he very much doesn't seem to have original thoughts. I don't necessarily mean that as an insult. Everything's derivative to some extent. But what I mean is, in his videos, he always tries and makes it sound like, oh, I just happen to be thinking about this thing. But, like, it's like he doesn't realize other people watch other flat earthers. He always talks about stuff that he saw in another video recently, but he never credits that video, or rarely credits that video. So he's talking about this thing about the map of the Earth on the moon, which was covered on Flat Earth Dave's interview channel in the last week. So literally, I think he just saw this video, which has been relatively popular in Flat Earth in the last week or so. It's been a topic of discussion. And then he just acts like he thought of it, or like that it's just very strange. He never likes to admit that he's talking about something that's in sort of the zeitgeist of the community. He always likes to act like it's his original thought. And I think that's important to him, to feel like he's very smart in having all of these very original, novel thoughts that normal people couldn't have. At least that's how he views it. He doesn't think he can be influenced, or he's an intelligenttual plagiarist. Intelligenttual?
About this years ago.
Is that a word? Like, I believe you. What does it mean? Intelligenttual?
It's been in the back of my head, you know. Why do we have the only satellite out there that has these pristine images on them? You know, is God trying to tell us something?
What are you talking about? There's tons of other moons that have, like, craters and stuff on them. Are you just saying because we have more pictures of the moon? We have closer pictures of the moon because we're close to the moon, cosmically speaking, within our solar system. Oh, is it just supposed to be intellectual? That makes sense.
He or she, whoever it may be. Yes, of course. Of course. God wanted us to figure this out. They're trying to hide it from us, you know?
They're trying to hide it.
But they can't hide things like this. They can chemtrail us all day long.
Chemtrails on the bingo card?
Doesn't matter. You know, they could try to hide the moon, but now it's clear blue skies. This is the first day that I've seen clear blue skies. It's been like days, weeks, if you
Ashley One Up says, Chris, you know all the comic books like Marvel and DC? I was thinking the other day we should make movies out of those. Maybe a series of them. Funny. Do you ever get the feeling that sometimes Chris is trying to audition for the Illuminati? Like, this might sound insane, but sometimes in his videos it feels like he's trying to illustrate, like, how much of the true reality he knows. And I think he hopes that one day, especially with his preoccupation with celebrities are all sellouts and everyone is just, like, on the payroll. This might sound insane, and maybe this is just me being delusional, but part of me thinks that Chris hopes if one day he can impress, like, them, whatever this secret society is, enough through his videos, they'll knock on his door and be like, Chris, good news, you know too much. Let's talk, let's make a deal, you know?
Want to call it. I haven't been able to get a good weekend in. That was probably that sunset that not sunset, but the eclipse that I took. Nobody even knew what happened. It was great, you know. I loved it. I was the only one who could actually see it, and it was just this little, you know, half circle right there on the sun. It was absolutely fantastic. I'll talk about that in a minute. But they can chemtrail us all they want. They could try to hide the moon. They could try to hide the sun. They could do whatever the fuck they want, but they can't.
I feel like trying to hide the sun would probably be a pretty futile effort. It's kind of the center of our whole solar system, like tautologically.
Always do it 100% of the time. We're always going to have some clear days here and there, and that's when you're going to be able to see. They can't hide the images of the moon. They can't hide what's on the moon, is what I mean. Okay, they can blow up buildings. They can blow up tunnels. Every picture that I've ever seen of them working on not the aqueduct system, but our water supply system, okay, in New York, is them removing dirt. Same with the train tracks. They're sitting there removing dirt, all of them. People think we're in this tech age right now. What tech age? Our buildings are bullshit. Look at these buildings. These are
Look at these bullshit buildings. That's what I think too when I go downtown. I just go, look at these bullshit buildings. This is a monument to man's hubris. Bittergrin, thanks for 53 months. Appreciate you.
crap. You know, the building's back to...
I don't know if that was specifically a 9/11 reference, so I'm going to say no for that bingo space for now.
1,000 years ago, 500 years, crap. You know, the building's back to 1,000 years ago, 500 years ago, or more advanced than what we have here. These are just like blocks, as far as I'm concerned. They're not.
It's so interesting that he genuinely seems to believe that because he has a he has a preference for old style architecture. Like, he looks at something that's classical or neoclassical or Baroque or, I don't know, in Art Nouveau style, sort of older styles from a variety of different periods and places, but he aesthetically appreciates those styles subjectively. Therefore, he assumes that they are superior, and what we have now is not just inferior in a subjective aesthetic sense, but in an objective engineering sense. To Chris, it's all surface level. To him, the way the building looks on the outside is the building. That's what it is. It's like he doesn't consider any of what the actual function of the construction is. It's so interesting. Stephen J. Neptune Man says, 36 months, says, is it me or is he even more nonsensical than usual today? Oh, he's mad. He's mad. Tends to get this way when he's mad. It's also a sub baby. This sub baby's name is going to be Sub Baby Mick Sub Babyton. That one's a little derivative. That happens. Okay? We live with it and we learn.
They're nothing. There's no architectural engineering thought put into this shit. This is like Legoland that we're living in here compared to the palaces and everything else.
It's like Chris is not aware. Chris, 99.9999999% of people in the past were not living in palaces. They were living in smaller boxes than we are living in now, made of much more degradable materials, and those buildings didn't last. You see these old opulent palaces because those were ones made out of, like, granite or fucking marble, and they were built to last. That was not the average. That was the pinnacle. You're comparing a standard house today to a palace from the past. You can't do that. Miss Quilanius with 46 months says, Cece, you're right. The Old Testament does say the earth is flat. You know what else it says? That Yahweh is powerless against iron chariots. Guess why they built buildings with iron? To protect you from a deity that wants you dead from working on the Sabbath.
That we had back 500 years ago? Hell, 1,000 years ago? My God, look at the pyramids. Did they bring...
Gestures at the pyramids? Explain this!
that up again? I don't know, because I remember every like 10 or 15 years they bring up that there's something underneath the pyramids. Okay, they did just bring it up before rehash something.
There's a popular, you've almost certainly seen videos about this somewhere, conspiracy theories got all up in a tizzy because they're like, there's something under the pyramids, I think it's a secret infinite energy machine, or whatever their pet theory is. It's literally based on a crackpot submitting or having a peer-reviewed paper, and this guy's a crackpot, the guy that wrote this paper. He's a guy that believes in, like, UFO alien stuff. Yeah, not great. Not great. Conspiracy theorist fell for it again. I'm shocked.
From 15 years ago. You know, that was before I was a flat earther. And I was like, yeah, you know, that would make sense, because if the aliens did come down here and place the pyramids or built the pyramids, I can't believe what I used to think. Oh, man.
This is something I find interesting about Chris, too, is that to him, it's not just knowing better than other people that seems to satiate him. It's the constant rediscovery of the truth. Now, I'm sure back in the day when he believed in aliens or whatever, he felt that that was the truth and that he knew better than normies. But for him, it's not the knowing. It's the constant, like, revitalizing act of rediscovery of the truth, and that truth is ever evolving. There's always a deeper conspiracy. There's always a deeper level. It's not in the knowing a conspiracy, it's in the constant discovery that it's infinitely deep. It reminds me of, like, back when I was an alcoholic. It wasn't the being drunk, it was the getting drunk. Like, I would sit there and it wasn't enough to be, like, plastered out of your mind. You had to constantly be in the process of getting more drunk, because that's what you were addicted to almost. This constant state of, like, a thing that would not only make you feel good, but constantly make you feel better. And that's what I see in Chris, is it's not just that he needs to be self-satisfied, that he's smarter than everyone. He needs to constantly be in this frenzy where he's always learning more than everyone else, and he's in this constant, like, molting of, like, old conspiracies are, like, bullshit, and I can't believe I used to believe that thing, and discovering new, deeper secrets. It's fascinating. He could do this for the rest of his life.
Now, we had technology that they have hidden from us. They found we have clocks that are more advanced than the clocks that we have right now. Okay? From many hundreds of years ago, thousands of years ago, we had everything back then. And now we have nothing but these stupid smartphones. And that's why people think we're so advanced.
I think global communication instantly, like, not only through voice, but through, like, pictures and data and video, it's actually, like, pretty huge revolution. I've talked about this before. We're basically at the start of a new kind of human history. Like, history's kind of measured when we start having written records. But the fact that we, for the last, I don't even know how long, everyone can now visually and audio record real life, kind of a big deal for humanity that I think is a little underrated. Pretty cool. Led to a lot of problems, but it's also the kind of thing that people historically couldn't even imagine. So it's a little weird to downplay it. You don't have to like it, but to downplay it is strange.
How little do they know? Because they're looking at their technology of machinery. They're not looking at the technology, architectural technology.
What about architects, Chris? Did you know that there's an entire field of people whose job is that, and they're architects? And not only is it their job, but for many of them, it's their passion, and they love the history of architecture. So they probably look into this a lot closer than you, because here's the thing, they probably read books about it. I don't think Chris has read a single architecture book in his life. Now, to be clear, I haven't either. I'm not particularly interested in architecture. But he wants to come out here and talk about, like, he's an expert in the field. You'd think he'd maybe read a singular history of architecture book or something. I don't know.
You know, they're not looking at that, you know. They're not looking at the aqueduct system. You know, how did that...
Does he think we can't build a fucking aqueduct? We build ways to get water from one place to another all the time. Like, municipal fucking water supplies are a thing. Sewers are a thing. Wastewater treatment plants are a thing. What?
How did we build that back in 1900s? Okay, when we were sitting there with a fireplace and candles. You know, we didn't even really have electricity back then. You know, but meanwhile,
I think Chris forgets that steam power was a thing, by the way. He'll talk about electricity like that was the beginning of the Industrial Revolution. Do people forget that we had power before electric power? Like, do people not remember there was a whole ass period where we were having giant, like, manufacturing machines and all sorts of random shit, and it wasn't electric?
we built these extravagant things that went on for hundreds of miles. Even the dams. Look at them. Look at them. I mean, we're finding pyramids all over the place, for crying out loud. They just found...
Yeah, as it turns out, when you stack rocks with a wide base and a thinner top, they tend to stay that way for a long time.
Another one in Antarctica. You know, I mean, look at this. Everything screams old technology, flat Earth, and if you don't see it, you're totally lost. If you're trying to suppress flat Earth, then you're just a troll or something else, and it doesn't matter, you know.
That's such an interesting thought-stopping cliche. If you say anything that I don't agree with, as far as Chris is concerned, if you say anything Chris doesn't agree with, you are a troll or a paid-for bot. There is no person on this earth that he believes can legitimately criticize his belief system. If you are criticizing the thing he believes, you are an idiot, a troll, or a paid shill. That's it. You've been categorized. No longer have to listen. La 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 la.
It really doesn't matter for us because the truth is everywhere. The truth.
Pyramids in Antarctica. Haven't you seen Alien vs. Predator? Love that movie. I don't love that movie. It's better than its reputation. Barely. Amber says, Cece, pyramids exist because, as in sex toys, buildings are safer and more stable if they have a wide base. We'll see ourselves out. That's pretty good.
It's easy to find. And soon, a certain amount of people will have to wake up in order to get that tipping bridge, where it's just comes second nature now. Oh yeah, flat Earth, yeah, sure, I know all about it. You know, what's your opinion about it? That's how the future conversations will be, not flat Earth and you get some wacko.
What is the article? Ever wondered why the world's most popular buildings are shaped like penises? I mean, only vaguely. I don't think that one looks like a penis. What penises are you looking at? Oh, I guess if it was uncircumcised, maybe. That would be a very tight foreskin, though, I'll be honest, and I don't think that would be very comfortable for the building. Anyway, sorry. Ugh, why do I talk? Okay.
You know, it looks like he's about to shoot you or something like that, you know, or run you over with...
Green guy with a $1 tip says, idiot or troll or shill? Why can't it be all three? That's my name. Idiot, troll, shill.
This car, you know, those days are coming to an end soon. And I think they realize this. They're going to lose power because once, you know, flat Earth is discovered, they have lost their power.
It's inevitable. Not if. Whence. When it happens. When it happens, he'll be vindicated.
There is no...
It'll all be worth it. Everyone will finally see. Everyone will finally know that CC Chris here, Westchester County, isn't a joke. He's not to be laughed at. He's to be respected. He's important. He's smart.
For them, there is no more governments. There is no more school. There's nothing for them. It all boils down to money. You know, where does the money go? What happens to the money? You know, what happens to the millions of dollars on a daily basis NASA is collecting from every single one of our paychecks?
It goes to the paychecks of their staff, a lot of it, and also goods that they need to do their job. But like NASA's a relatively large organization, and keeping the lights on costs money because any agency that exists, whether public or private, has operating expenses.
Where does that go? You know, back in our wallets, obviously, but where's all the money that they spent, and where did
Studies have shown that for every dollar that goes into NASA, something like $1.50 comes out, or it was like $2. I don't remember, but they basically showed that money that gets put into NASA ends up building things, because I don't know if you know this, a lot of the engineering solutions that NASA has developed became consumer goods later. Don't know if you know that.
they spend it if space doesn't exist? What are they doing? You know,
By the way, I don't think that should be the standard. I don't think government agencies need to make money. That's not their purpose, far from it. But if you're talking to an idiot that doesn't understand that government is different than business, there you go.
I mean, obviously, are they trying to get through the dome? Is that what they've been trying to do for the last 50 years? You know,
Nope.
what have they been doing with all this cash if they're not going up the space, because there is no space?
They're a public agency, so you could probably go to like NASA's website and see what projects they're currently working on. Not that hard.
What about satellite TV? There are no satellites up there, and if there are, they're being held up by balloons. They're not in space. They didn't cost barely anything to get them up there. They just shoot them up there. That's all. They're all helium.
They just shoot them. They just shoot them up there. No, so satellites do exist. Balloons are a thing. There are scientific balloons, but there are also satellites that go into space, and he's conflating the two. So that's a shame.
You know, I mean, it's just so obvious that they're suppressing everything from us. You know,
Helium satellites, that's a new one. It's actually not new. Once again, he didn't come up with that. That's another flat earther thing that they often believe. And you know why? Because you can easily find footage of NASA or other organizations doing these scientific balloons, because they talk about them, because they're not secret. So you see these things, and they're like scientific devices with balloons, and they go up in the air, and they vaguely look like satellites if you don't know what a satellite looks like necessarily. And so flat earthers can look at those videos and go, look, this is what satellites actually are, even though they're not. They're balloons. They're a separate thing. But rhetorically, it's easy for a flat earther to put up footage, you know, from NASA's website of them working on a balloon thing, and then they just say, this is NASA putting up a satellite. Satellites are really just balloons. Like, it's literally an argument because it's easy for them to make that argument. It's not based in anything profound other than it's easy to sort of Mott and Bailey the audience by showing them footage of this other thing and claiming it's satellites to make NASA look like they're lying when they're the ones that are lying.
And they just continue with the lies and try to reiterate it with everybody by bringing up stupid
thanks for
space
following.
shit that they just, I mean, this is how pathetic it's gotten. You know, making a bouncy house look like it actually went into space. You know, because they know they can't pull off going to the moon. They can't do that again. They never will be able to do it again. It's impossible. There's too many people woken up with it. Would be torn apart to pieces. To pieces it would be torn apart. Mars? Are you kidding me? What's going to happen?
It's not a hair piece. That's really what his hair looks like. Believe me, we've talked about his hair. We've watched his hair. The hair is real. I promise.
If Mars actually existed, can't you think about the fuel supply, the air supply, the food supply? What are they going to do? Eat ants on Mars? There's no
That funny?
nothing there. There's no space. You're looking at lights in the sky.
Yes, Chris, we've never sent people to Mars. Someday we may. I assume he's commenting more on like Elon Musk's claims about going to Mars. The secret to that is Elon Musk is a liar and a con man. He's not going to take people to Mars. He doesn't have a plan for it. Con man. So no, we're not going to send people to Mars for any sort of long-term visit anytime soon. Someday, maybe. But if they do, yeah, they'll have supplies with them, because there aren't animals on Mars. Phyllis Filler with 24 months says 2 years of tin. Well, thank you very much for your 2nd anniversary.
But if there was a Mars, what are they going to do? Where are all their resources? What are they going to keep shooting out rockets to Mars and hope that one of them makes it to the surface and then that has all their food that they need?
Hope one of them makes it to the surface implies he doesn't know that, like, when we send things to Mars, we don't just, like, go, I don't know, let's eyeball it. There's math involved. There's a lot of math involved, actually, in orbital mechanics.
Come on, guys. I mean, this is bullshit. This is 101 nonsense. You know, that all of us have learned years ago at this point.
I literally don't trust hairpiece guys. I should trust this guy. You shouldn't trust this guy. Just because you don't trust hairpiece guys does not mean that the corollary that you should trust anyone with real hair is true. Just putting that out there. You could distrust the furry on top. I don't know why I described it that way. Overthought with 100 bits says, it's really just a bouncy house. Recreate the effect, CC. Go, rent a bouncy house and do it. And if it's a logistics issue, there are hundreds of others that'll help you, just like those that went to Antarctica. Put ideas into practice.
You know, I mean, you've never seen a meteor come up through the sky. It's always going down. That doesn't question. You've never seen a curvature of the Earth.
I have, from, like, footage of space missions and stuff.
Nobody questions that, you know? Never seen a meteor actually land in front of you. Billions of cameras out there. Not one shot of a meteor hitting the ground.
There is actually footage of that. Chris does a weird thing. Well, he'd be like, you've never seen footage of this thing. And then it's like a thing you can just Google. Like, you can look, hold on. Meteor hitting Earth. A lot of them are Russia, or so this one's Australia, but sometimes it's Russia because there are a lot of rather dash cams in Russia. Here's one. Woo! Sonic boom. Here's another one from 7 months ago.
Look at that! Whoa! That's a meteor!
That one I actually don't think is necessarily real. No, the flash and everything are just effects that come pre in some video editing software. I think the audio is even taken from the other one. But there's the one we watched first, and I've seen the Russian one before. You can find footage of meteors crashing
and exploding and making a crater. Not one. But yet we have pictures of everything else.
Yeah, I can check, Baja. Give me 1 sec. Sorry about that.
I don't understand it. I really don't. I mean, it's become obvious for us years ago, but now it should be screaming out.
How thick do flat earthers think the Earth is? See, that's a good question. I want to know that. I've never heard them ask that or answer it. I'm curious.
Flat Earth. Screaming out that there is no space. Screaming out that they've been hiding history. Screaming out to everybody on this flat plane that you have been lied to, that everything that you have been doing all of your life is bullshit. Okay? It's all nonsense. It's all part of the system. And that's what they want everybody to continue believing, is this system that they've made up for failure.
That's a big one. A system they made up for failure. That tells me that he's incredibly preoccupied with the concept of failure, and likely with his own perceived failure. I'm not going to say Chris is a failure. Chris is married, he has a home, he has at least one kid, he has a seemingly steady job. You know, there's nothing wrong with any of that. That's stuff a lot of people dream of. So, you know, I'm not going to make value judgments or judge what he's judging about himself, but either way, it seems that he feels like he has failed in some way. He drives a van for a living. Again, nothing wrong with that. But the way he has talked about education and talked about his own education or lack thereof, it feels like there's a bitterness. I think he feels like life should be better than this. A sort of existential ennui a lot of people kind of feel from time to time in their lives, you know? But instead of maybe coping with this in a more realistic way, instead of maybe coming to terms with, hey, you know, some of my failures and successes, there are contributing factors both from society and how society functions, but also your own personal actions as well, you know, to differing degrees. Instead, he has to concoct a scenario in which the entire world is against him, and not in a way that he thinks is like systemic and just ignores him, but specifically wants him to fail. And I think that's interesting. He thinks it's a lot more personal than it is.
Okay? Failure if you don't go through their system. They've trapped you. They've trapped everybody here into this prison that they have made. Well, the
situation with his wife also doesn't seem to be great. I would agree, but I would argue a lot of that's because of this stuff. I guess I don't know their personal relationship, but like, I think a lot of the tension is probably because he's incredibly bitter. I don't think he's capable, while he's this conspiratorial. He has derision for just every other human being that doesn't believe the same as him. He thinks they're idiots. He thinks they're brainwashed NPCs. Like, he's incapable of looking at people who think differently than him and seeing them as people, and I imagine that completely precludes him from having any sort of, like, interpersonal relationship with his wife or anyone else. So, I would imagine that that is the root cause of many issues that they have, if I had to guess. But I've never met her. I don't know. That's just the read I get based on the interactions we have seen on this show, and how Chris is generally.
Live in their $25 million mansions, gated with walls. You can't get to them, and they're hidden. Digging down mansions. I think Facebook is digging a mansion 1,000 feet under the ground. Or
I like that she called Mark Zuckerberg Facebook. Like, he just straight up called him Facebook. Facebook is building a house underground.
Maybe a mile underground. Who knows? He's got all the money in the fucking world. Doesn't matter. You know, all these people, every single one of them, they all own you. They all own us. And we're all slaves here. And we always will be, unless if people if they don't wake up, this is how it's going to be for generations.
Yes, Jay's proxy doesn't understand this problem is capitalism on the bingo card. Steve the Q says, just got off work, Hannah's on, come into Chris, open the bingo card, recording in car.
Generations to come. That's it. This is just going to continue on.
Oh, and Green Guy with $1 tip says, most white men can't comprehend not being super successful. It's okay to just be some dude. On some level, I wonder, like, and I'm not blaming, like, again, it's people's responsibility to understand the difference between real life and movies, but also, I don't know if you guys are familiar with, like, the vibe of American movies, but especially through the mid to late 20th century, like, 90% of American films are about generic white guy protagonists succeeding in spite of, or even indeed perhaps because of, their, like, anti-establishment attitude, or like not following the rules of the system, man. And that's a narrative that's maybe questionable to put into the heads of millions and millions of people over generations. I don't know. Just like, maybe not great for an effective society. You know? I don't know.
All of it.
Like, I like the movie Ghostbusters, but like, they were running an unregistered nuclear reactor in their basement. I kinda do think that maybe the CDC had reason to be concerned.
It's been going on way too long, and it's definitely coming to an end. It can't
EPA, sorry.
continue like this for generation after generation. I mean, it just can't. The way they're spending money and the way they're taking money, someone's bound to fucking wake up at this point. You know, why have we gone to the moon? How many generations and more generations is going to take? The people don't even question that. Why haven't they land a person anywhere?
Those are foreign licensed nuclear accelerators. The packs were nuclear accelerators, and I think the Ghost, like, the Ghost Chamber was too. Here's the next game prop, Threshold Magazine. See, this is so great. I love that you do little props. It always makes things so, like, it adds to the verisimilitude. Fun.
The only thing they send up there are fucking probes. That's it. And these shitty pictures come back that are not HD pictures. They're fucking shit black and white pictures. They look like something from 1985. Remember the the disc camera? They look worse than those. Fucking disc cameras, for crying out loud. That's the technology they have up in space.
I use that word more than any other person ever. What word?
You know, why haven't people questioned that? I mean, the mere fact that they haven't even bothered sending anybody to the moon to walk around on it. No other countries have even bothered either.
Verisimilitude? Well, I don't use verisimilitude that often.
That should
I use it when appropriate.
Scream
How did you all do on the SATs? Huh? Learn English.
To you that something a matter. You know? And scream out to everybody that something's a matter.
New Sobsit content from Chile. Oh god, what did he do? Okay, I will save this for our next sovereign citizen thing. Thank you for the heads up. We also have on Discord channels if you ever see stuff like that, where you can like post suggestions.
Aren't countries fighting with each other about land? Why aren't they fighting about Antarctica?
Because it would be incredibly cost prohibitive to set up any kind of long-term anything in Antarctica. And that's beside the like treaty that people have signed. Let's say the treaty done, still gonna have a lot of money put into it, and you don't know if you're gonna get money out.
Why not? It's more land. Why aren't every single country on this flat plane fighting about that? The resources out there. Nobody questions that. They're just too busy with their families, with their work, with their 9-to-5 bullshit, and their stupid weekends of watching TV and wasting their time.
You didn't take the SAT? I didn't either. I took the ACT. But when you're talking to a general audience of Americans, more people take the SAT than ACT, I think. So for comedic purposes, you say SAT.
I thank you for subbing. I thank you for viewing my videos.
And the ACT doesn't have a vocabulary section, so the joke doesn't work.
Let me be a part of your life.
Oh, so Chris is doing great. He's just awesome. Let's take a look at the bingo card and see what Chris picked off. Stickly Pear, thank you so much for following. We, of course, have Flat Earth on the bingo card. We have Recording in Car. We have... doesn't understand how cameras work for him talking about the pictures from satellites and stuff. Doesn't understand the problem is capitalism. Doesn't understand architecture. Hannah mentions Blu-rays. And I really gave that one away for free. I really need to develop a personality one of these days. That'd be nice. Idiot says they're a genius. Chemtrails. I know we mentioned chemtrails. Is there anything else? Anyone? Bueller? 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 Or a line not said by a Nixon speechwriter? I don't know. Sky is fake for the map on the moon. Sure. Where's Sky is fake? What number is that? 57? Cool beans. All right. Roger has some opinions about this picture. Can you guess what he's going to say about this picture, chat? Chat, what's he going to say about this picture? Let's see how your pareidolia is. Chat, let's check your pareidolia. Chat, look at this image. What does Roger think he's discovered? I'll give you I don't know, 20 seconds. Do 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 You fools! You fail to recognize the face of our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ? You fail to see our Lord and Savior Jesus Christ in these particle images of this fucking particle physics? It's Jesus. He sees Jesus. All right. Not as good as the toast, but I'll take it.
So, is science and religion and God and Christ and all that stuff separate? And no, it's not. They're exactly the same thing. Jesus Christ
kind of looks like Charlie Manson to you. You can tell because he doesn't have a swastika on his forehead. This is Jesus and not Charlie.
Christ, if this is him, I don't know. That's light. I see no reason whatsoever from the research I have done to expect this looking like Jesus Christ and looking like some kind of demon with flared horns or something coming out of his head.
Anyone who said demon gets half credit. Of course he was going to say demon. It's red. That has demon written all over it.
Screaming at Jesus. Now, that is light. All right, Jesus said he...
Oh, I think Harold Edelman did see it. You win, Harold Edelman. What do you win? 1 point of respect. I will jot that down. I respect Harold Edelman. 1 extra point.
He is light. And it says hundreds of times, literally hundreds of times in the Gnostic...
Looks more like God from Star Trek V. What does God need with a starship?
Text about...
In the upper box, Hannah will remember that.
About Jesus and how there was no words to describe the light that was about him. You couldn't see him for the light. And finally, the disciples said, "Please, Jesus, withdraw your light so that we may see you." And he did.
Do I respect y'all? Of course I do.
They saw him. But he was looking like this, and they just like looking into the sun. And then all of a sudden, he let himself go. Look at this. I don't know if Rod found anything or not, but boy, I'll tell you, I've seen some of the ancient paintings that look just like this, people screaming from... Okay, my friends, I'm just going to blurt it out. As far as I'm concerned, Jesus said he is light. He's made out of light, and so did the disciples. And they said there was...
Jesus said he was the light. He didn't say light was him. See, via the transitive property of Christ, if Jesus is light, then light is Jesus. That's just math. Do I need to call Terrence Howard?
It was always, you couldn't see him because there was so much light.
We gotta check we're irrationally self-hating. Oh yeah, I don't relate to that at all.
Okay. I study light, and I study it as deeply as anybody's ever...
When he says study light, he means he looks at pictures of it, and he thinks that that's studying. My research said by a non-researcher on the bingo card.
breathed oxygen. Trust me, I have seen more.
Isn't there a trope in sci-fi where people trap an alien or something and others find it and think it's God? I mean, I could name several things that do kind of that, so there's probably a name for that trope, but I'm not sure off the top of my head. Does anyone want to check TV tropes?
More light than anybody ever. From the research I did with Rod Warren, who took these pictures.
That's actually the symmetric property. If A equals B, then B equals A. Well, there you go. Apparently for my math jokes to work, I actually have to learn math. So that's not good.
Using light acceleration. Now,
Terrence Howard is a big homophobe? Yeah, I think he also allegedly abused his wife. I think he has openly talked about, in fact, how he has, like, admitted to hitting his partners in the past.
look at what you're seeing here. Jesus Christ said, I am light. I am made out of light. Basically exactly what he
didn't say I am made out of light. He said I am the light. It's metaphorical. Like, I don't think he literally meant, like, I'm made of fucking light. I don't know.
He said. Now, again, I understand light. And I understand.
You know, I kind of assumed it meant, like, light as in he illuminates things. He brings wisdom. He brings the metaphorical, like, goodness in the way that we sometimes symbolize morality through light.
Understand when light gets brighter, it's impacting something of substance. Light just does not manifest itself until it interacts with something of substance here on, because there's light all over the place here. You don't see that light until it hits something. You see that? That's bright. Why is that bright? That, to me, this is a 3D image of something. And it's wrapped around, and even if that's the nose, it's a little bit brighter there. That's the cheek, it's bright. This is exactly identical. Identical.
Admittedly, he lost his temper and hit her in front of the kids. Jesus Christ, what a scumbag. Funny to laugh at his ridiculous math stuff, but fuck him.
To the structures of a human face, which to me represents something that damn near looks like it could be Jesus Christ. He said he was the light. I mean, there is nothing here that does not conform. Now, what is this guy? If this is a creature, he has exactly the same things with just a face and look, it's like it's spewing out something.
Yeah, he's got the Blumhouse horror movie face. You know what I'm talking about?
Here. This a vape.
The mouth is too big. It's uncanny. Are you scared yet? Cashes a check for $10 billion. Fucking Blumhouse.
All right, you see the difference between this and the rest of this stuff? And what's this, these things trailing off?
What's this a picture of? Something particle physics related? I don't know what it is, like, showing specifically in reality.
Sticking off out of his head, it looks like to me. I don't know. I get.
Who hit their wife, Terrence Howard or Roger? Terrence Howard.
And this is just speculation of the most extreme time. Oh, the guy's got PhDolia. I call it PhDolia because they can't see what's in front of their faces. And they can't read what's been written because it's not allowed in those areas where they don't think science and religion can work. There is no science. It's only made from religion because religion.
Scientism on the bingo card.
Religion starts with the Creator. I study all the ancient texts, not just the Bible, not just the Nag Hammadi, not
ancient wisdom on the bingo card.
Not just the ancient texts, Pareidolia, Ovid, and all those. They were closest to the source. But the Nag Hammadi text, just discovered in 1945, had been underground for 2,000 years. Nobody's screwed around with them. They were written at the time of Jesus and stored and hidden because they know they were going to be destroyed. And they said they were going to be unveiled. There is nothing hidden that will not be disclosed at the end of time. And I'm going to tell you right now, a lot of things being disclosed. Jesus said, I am the light that is over all things. I am all. From me all came forth, and to me all attained. Split a piece of wood, I am there. Lift up the stone, and you will find me there. That's Jesus Christ talking about light, being light. I am the light.
It's pretty clear within that passage that the character of Jesus is not speaking in a literal fashion. He's speaking metaphorically in the sense that he is omnipresent, like day in daylight. He's saying he is omnipresent, like if you're in an open field in the daylight, light just permeates everywhere. There's nowhere that it cannot permeate, and that kind of feels more like what's trying to be gotten across here poetically than a literal statement that he is photons, because people didn't know what the fuck that was back in the day. Just saying, I am basically omnipresent. I am present in all things. Freyline says, so TV tropes has several. There's any sufficiently advanced alien is indistinguishable from gods. There's also God Guys, which is a character that pretends to be or is mistaken for God. That definitely falls under the Star Trek V thing.
Now listen to this one. I think it's 60. No. 50. I think it's 50. Yeah, here it is right here. Jesus said, if they say to you, where have you come from? He's talking to his disciples. Say to them, we have come from the light, from the place where the light came into being by itself, established itself, and appeared in their image. If they say to you, is it you? Say, we are its children. We are...
Okay, we can move on from Roger. Take a look at the bingo card real quick, because he surprisingly actually got a decent number of spaces. Ancient wisdom, scientism, my research, what's... Where is that one? I am so great, like... Because I have do your own research. Where is the other one? My research said by not researcher. Got it. Cool beans. All right. How could he be wrong? He has a feather. It's true. It's tough to say. All right. It's time for Hans Wormhat. If you've not seen me cover Hans Wormhat before, I know a few people followed just today, so you're in for a treat. Hans Wormhat is a conspiracy theorist I've been covering pretty consistently for, 4 or 5 years at this point? And he has the most incredible beliefs. Hans Wormhat is a skeptic of virtually everything. Hans Wormhat does not believe in many, many animals. Hans Wormhat does not believe in penguins, does not believe in toucans. He believes giraffes were genetically engineered to have long necks. He thinks they used to be horses. He thinks zebras are simply horses who have had stripes painted on them. He thinks World War II didn't happen, not just the Holocaust. He's not just a Holocaust denier. He thinks World War II didn't happen. This man thinks the transatlantic slave trade didn't happen. This man, importantly, today, believes gorillas are not real. So, let's get into it.
So, I haven't really been paying attention to this, and I haven't read either of these articles, but now it's become apparent to me that it's like gone viral, been picked up by the media, this 100 men versus 1 gorilla thing. So I guess it's just worth stating my opinion. This video is not about this, really. Just I wanted to put it in the beginning here because it seems to be, yeah, big right now. 100 men versus 1 gorilla. Who would win? And I think that it's really stupid on the surface.
Is the gorilla bloodlusted?
Because 100 men should be able to take out anything, really. Like, I feel like...
Do they have sticks? Because if so, very much so. If they have, like, spears. If the men have prep time, 100%. We're pack hunters, historically. Like, you might lose some guys, I'm not gonna lie to you, but 100 guys with spears versus 1 gorilla? Yeah, that's not even close. Humans are fucking crazy. We're apex predators for a reason.
Like 100 men should be able to take out.
If it's just completely unorganized guys with no tools, it'll be rough. You'll lose more, but I don't know.
An elephant if they're working together. So I don't know what the experts are chiming in on this, but it just gives them a time to talk about how big and scary gorillas are. And
gorillas are scary. Apes are scary in general. I don't know if you know this. They're very strong, and they're wild animals. So, like, they're less predictable than human beings.
I guess what I will mention is that I have been seeing some people wake up to the fact that gorillas don't actually show any feats of strength.
What are you talking about?
What you'll get, the most impressive things out of the gorillas is that they can actually run really fast in those suits, which should make you wonder why a beast that big can even run so fast and sprint.
It's almost like they evolved to carry their own body mass. That's crazy.
Around. And it's because the suits are foam. You can go look into the making of...
Did Hans cover the Japanese guy with the human zoo? No.
Of Gorillas in the Mist. So the suits are probably lighter than you would think, based off of the mass. That would actually...
So Gorillas in the Mist is a movie starring Sigourney Weaver, I think the 90s, which I'm pretty sure is a dramatization of Jane Goodall's research into ape species in the wild. Because they had animatronic apes and ape suits for that movie, Hans is under the impression that all apes are just ape suits, which is, of course, nonsense. Sorry, Diane Fossey. That's the one. My bad. It's kind of like saying, you know how there's like costumes of horses where like one person's the front of the horse and another person's the back? It would be like saying there are no real horses because you saw a guy in horse costume once.
Actually be a cool thing. Why don't they do live weigh-ins of the gorillas? I bet they weigh way less than what they say, because the suits are mostly foam and they're very agile. I will give them that the gorillas jump around and pound their chest. Recently heard somebody going off about the sound they make, and it's like comical. Why do they pound their chest and it sounds like bongos to begin with?
It's an intimidation thing.
And they like build a musical instrument into the animal.
Has Hans never beat his own chest before? I won't do it now, because now I have breasts and they hurt if you do that, I've discovered. But, like, if you just have a chest that is not, boobed, you can, like, hit your chest and it's hollow. Like, your chest is, a lot of it's, like, hollow, so it does make a noise. I don't know.
Anyways, yeah, so the...
Marcel Paul, thanks for a 3-stream streak, says mandatory.
I would hate to have to live in the same world as horses. Weird, smug little pricks with their eyes and teeth. But I've done some research, and it turns out that horses don't exist! Yay!
Goodbye, horses.
The feats of strength.
H-Bird says, fun fact, the word gorilla comes from an account of a Carpathian exploration of West Africa. Carthaginian. Sorry, I don't know why I said Carpathian. The Carthaginian exploration of West Africa. The Carthaginians thought they'd met a group of hairy people and tried to talk with them at first. Then there was an altercation where some of the gorillas were killed while the rest ran away. The Carthaginians then skinned what they thought were hairy people and brought the skins back to Carthage, as you do. I've actually heard that story before, and Hans has actually cited that story before for why he thinks gorillas are fake. I don't know why he thinks that means gorillas are fake, but he cited it.
Thing. The reason that I'm rambling about this right now is because it's kind of to do with this article. This article gives the media a chance to shine the spotlight on their fake creature and tell you how dangerous it is and how strong and powerful. But that's actually good proof against gorillas. There is not video footage of them lifting super heavy things, chucking giant stones really far, ripping a tree out of the ground or something. What you get is very pound on your chest and run around. and maybe swinging some stuff around, but nothing like, whoa, you're strong.
He's upset gorillas aren't doing feats of strength for his entertainment. This might be a YouTube video about it. Gorilla feat of strength. I don't know how to find something like this. Here we go.
How strong is a silverback gorilla? Because of their muscular body, scientific research has shown that a silverback gorilla is stronger than 20 adult humans combined.
You gonna show it?
They are able to lift up 10 times their body weight, and it is estimated that a gorilla could bench press 4,000 pounds.
There's something.
A gorilla's punch has a force of 1,800
Of course, Hans would say, oh, that's a fake log, it's a prop, it's made of styrofoam or something.
pounds, which is more than twice as hard as a professional boxer. A silverback gorilla's strength is needed to fight other—
Yeah, that's the thing. I know that I try and look for stuff like this, but even when you find it, like, it doesn't matter? How do I put this? He would always say it's fake. So what would the point be? Like, oh my god, like, he just ripped that really thick fucking rope. He ripped that entire goddamn thing off. Now he's carrying around that heavy piece of wood like it's nothing, you know what I mean? But of course, to you and me, we already rhetorically accept that this is what is real. We are being shown something real. You know what I mean? We are not under the pretense that we are being lied to, so we aren't on high alert. If he saw that footage, he would just go, well, it's fake. It was a breakaway rope. So how do you prove it to someone like that? He would have to be in front of it, and he would have to test the rope beforehand. And even then, I'm sure he would find some excuse.
It's all bark, no bite kind of thing with the fake gorilla suits. So yeah, that has to do with this, so I thought I would bring it up, because I recently saw somebody in the wild that came to that realization. They were like, yeah, I actually looked, and there is not evidence of gorillas doing heavy lifting type of feats of strength. On to the next part of this video. I asked the Google AI. I mean, part of me hates AI, obviously, but Google these days is so crappy that I feel like the Google AI does an okay job a lot of times. But you'll have to let me know how believable this is.
Oh, yikes.
I asked the Google AI what percentage of Americans believe in flat Earth these days.
I'll put this out there again. Conspiracy theorists love AI. Sorry, Freyline. Freyline said, do you want to see a ranger nearly have a heart attack? Of course you do. Oh, boy. Yeah, he, like, charges him, right? Oh, no, I have seen this. He drags him. Yeah, that's horrifying. I would never... I think apes are so cool and such beautiful creatures, and I would never want to be near one without something between us. Like at a zoo or a wildlife refuge. Awesome. I would never want to actually be near a gorilla or chimp in real life. How frightening. They're wild animals.
And they try to say it's rare. And they go on, 11% of Americans believe that the Earth might be flat. That's a lot. That seems like a lot to me. And
it's an AI answer. I don't know what it's citing, if it's even citing a real thing. That's the thing with AI, is you don't know, so you gotta go find other sources.
I know that I've met other Christians through Christian things that are like the silent majority. And okay, maybe not a majority in this case, but there's enough of us to not be that rare. That's a lot. If I keep reading, some sources suggest that 1 in 6 Americans are not entirely certain the world is round. Yeah, very surprising. And
I don't know if that's surprising to me at this point. My opinion of other people has gone down a lot. I wouldn't say I'm a misanthrope, but I am I'm a disappointed thrope. I don't know. Maybe I'm a little cynical.
I think that's really cool. And Yeah, I don't really know what to say about it. Just that
And it's really cool that the basic facts of reality are no longer generally understood to be true by a vast majority of people. Isn't that great?
it's not as rare and fringe as they want you to think, and that there are a lot of people out there that they're not going to be shouting it from the hilltops. That
Americans are dumb. I hate to break it to you, buddy. People are dumb. I understand that we Americans happen to be in a very particular social and political point that is exacerbating these issues. There is nothing in Americans that is not present in every other person on Earth. In specific circumstances, everyone is prone to this shit. We're all fucked. If you're watching this in the future, don't get complacent. Don't just be like, oh, that was just them. Those idiots. It's everyone. It's potentially you. Get it.
they think that Earth is flat, but there's a lot more than you would think, and you wouldn't know until it's like in my scenario, I don't even know how exactly I came to know that this.
How are you supposed to enjoy things when everything is fucked? Give in to the absurdity and just make the best of the life that you have. Nobody is born into ideal circumstances. The best you can do is praise reality to the best of your ability and enjoy it despite the fact that a lot of it sucks. I know that's easier said than done, but that's pretty much where I'm at.
Other Christian did not believe in NASA and all that. It's like you kind of test the waters, and you're saying certain subtle clues to pick up that you might not believe everything that's on the TV. Anyways, what do you guys think of that? How mainstream flat Earth is these days? I think that is a sign of the veil being lifted. I don't think it'd be anything remotely close to that in the 90s. It was so fringe and just not something that people would think about seriously, or you just didn't hear about it. And I know that there was some wisdom in the previous generations. A lot of people had grandparents that said, hey, don't believe anything on the TV. So there were people who knew.
They didn't mean the shape of the Earth.
It's just the internet has really made it easier to spot one another in a safe space. The internet really gives people a safe space. It's this anonymous safe space where you're not...
Loud minority thinks they're a silent majority on the bingo card. No, because he doesn't think it's a majority. He just thinks it's higher than thought it was.
Socially outcasted in your immediate life for sharing your real opinion about things. Matthew chapter 9, verses 37 and 38. Then saith he unto his disciples, the harvest truly is plenteous, but the laborers are few. Pray ye therefore the Lord of the harvest, that he will send forth laborers into his harvest. Matthew chapter 13, verse...
Alright, I'll skip past here, because then he's just going to go on to read Bible verses. Wants to hear that. Alright, what else we got? Try this one. So this is a guy that believes in reptilians. He's actually a pretty popular reptilian YouTuber. He has 92,000 subscribers, so almost 100,000 subscribers. He regularly uploads. He regularly has interacted with the Super Soldier community online that we cover sometimes. They're embroiled in a lot of the Medbed scam stuff. Anyway, he believes that reptilians are following him, and he lives in LA, so he has a lot of helicopter traffic over him from time to time. The LAPD occasionally, or it'll be maybe a news helicopter. You know, there's helicopters in fucking LA. There's helicopters in a lot of cities, but there's more in LA than your average city. And he is paranoid, so he thinks that these helicopters are for him. They're not.
To him.
I wonder if I should make another.
The classic paranoid delusion, yeah. And I probably wouldn't normally cover someone like this. I would just kind of go, okay, they're like a paranoid schizophrenic, whatever, you know, not whatever, that's a tragedy, but you know what I mean. It wouldn't be worth looking at. But this guy, again, has almost 100,000 subscribers. This guy isn't no one in the conspiracy community. Like, he has an audience. So I'm just so curious. I've seen videos where there's, like, paranoid delusional people like this, where, 4 people watch the videos, because they're not interesting. It's the rantings of paranoid delusional people. So I'm just curious, is he just more put together? Is he just less disorganized in his thinking, maybe, and it allows him to put together a program that makes sense? I don't know. This NPC is hilarious if you speak German. Eric von Raumzeit? I have no idea what this is. Where did he go? There he is.
A Reptoid movie.
Hi friends. In 2021, I released Woke the Movie, which is my attempt to link numerous internet conspiracy theories into a shared universe, kind of like the MCU. In the film, we talk about many strange concepts that are often waved off as absurd by normal society, and explore the strangest of these topics. We relied
it was Matt Smith.
heavily on the accounts of 6 self-described whistleblowers. However, there's one area where all 6 whistleblowers are in agreement on something that's too outrageous for even the most intrepid conspiracy theorists.
Reptilians?
The reptilians.
The reptilian.
Reptilian. The reptilian. Reptiles.
They're ugly-looking, lizard, alligator-type people.
Those people in there that you think you're protecting, they are killing the children.
Satanic on the bingo card because of the sign exposing satanic rituals. Hashtag it's time.
They have been doing it for hundreds of years. Please know that what I am going to tell...
Is that an AI child? Yes, I believe so, and so is the reptilian. We already did have uses AI on the bingo card.
...you now is very difficult for me. I was tortured beyond imagining, so I would never speak of what I saw. The Queen and...
This is unfortunate, too. A lot of people... There's not a ton of people who believe this, but occasionally there's people with paranoid delusions have delusions that in their childhood they were abused by satanic cults. Now, to be clear, that's not to say they didn't undergo any abuse. It's possible that abuse happened and they're recontextualizing it in a fantastical way to perhaps give some sort of meaning or some sort of purpose to that trauma, even if it's a bad purpose. Any purpose is sometimes better than no purpose. But sometimes it's an outright fabrication of their mind. So you will sometimes see with organizations like this, people who espouse the idea that they were abused by, like, satanic ritual cults as a child, and that's just not really evidenced when you actually look into these things. It is, again, it is people who are suffering from their own sort of paranoid delusions and then taking action on them because they believe them to be true.
Prince Philip are not human. No. I have been mocked, I've been laughed at, I've been attacked, I've been through every single thing you can imagine by trying to get this truth out there. I couldn't give a flying fuck what you react like. I am going to tell you the truth. They are reptilians. They shapeshift from human form into lizard form. I saw this with my own eyes. Many, many times. And trust me when I tell you, they are the most evil creatures that you could possibly imagine on this planet.
In the police station, when he was being held down and the sergeant came over, he said the sergeant shapeshifted in front of him, turned into a reptile, and then came back to human and then shapeshifted again and returned.
Rituals. Have you ever seen the darker side of the elite secret party?
Is this the brain rot the kids are talking about?
What the? He does some trash. Making the rock look. Oh my gosh.
That almost looks familiar. Was that from a movie or something, this serpent being? It almost looks like a... what are the... Yardot... what are the snake beings from D&D? Yardot... No.
Nasty.
Yuan T, that's what it is. It looks a little bit like a Yuan T.
Okay, so one of the reasons that I do this speaking about the scripture is because I want my friends to be informed of what they need to be informed, because we know that God has a whole plan, and it depends, if you want to make it in the right way, on what you know about
God's plan involves lizard people,
about what he is saying out of his word. So we know that what his people are destroyed for lack of knowledge, okay? So knowledge is a part of it, meaning you got to pay attention to some things, just like you have to do in school, right? Otherwise you're not going to make it in society if you don't know how to do your basic reading and arithmetic, right? So it's the same thing. There's basics that you have to know, and I want my friends to be prepared. Others don't believe in the narrative of judgment from God coming in the earth, which is very, very...
He's gonna judge via reptiles? Okay. Green Guy with the $1 tip says, have conspiracy theories ever thought to become writers, artists is a healthy way to vent their ideas? If any of them did, then we wouldn't know them as conspiracy theorists, we would know them as writers. So it's hard to say.
urgent information, because we know that it's going to be so horrible that men will seek to die, and because they have chosen to not look to God, they have said, nope, it's not for me. Hey, I understand. Like, you notice I'm not pushy on others with different opinions. I just suggest to them, look, I've looked at this whole thing, and it's about drawing near to God. It's about realizing that we are created. Okay,
about reptilians, I guess. All right, I'm gonna move on because he seems to be just Bibling now. Guess he's done doing the reptile stuff, at least for the moment. How's Tartaria, Australia doing? H-Bird says, remember to not split your infinitives.
People, right now around the world, you're witnessing the Mandala effect of the human race. Oh my fucking God. We're literally watching the Mandala effect of the whole human race right now, and who is standing on this earth and who is standing on another frequency-specific version that is changing in front of our eyes. It's so...
Word salad on the bingo card. Word salad. Also, we're about halfway through the stream, so I gotta do my little calls to action. If you haven't already, if you're on YouTube, please do me a favor and thumbs up the stream. Just give it a like, it helps a lot. And if you want to help support the stream, you can always help us get to our next tip goal, which is me producing edited content once again. Or you can gift subs or become a subscriber yourself to get us towards our monthly tip, or rather, sub goal. Alright, enough of me pushing things, let's go.
So observable, it's so fascinating.
That logo looks Scientological. It's AI. They just used AI to generate a logo.
Do some research, get into the videos on China, get into any videos about population and empty cities and emptying cities, and get some info there, man, because it's honestly, you don't want to miss this one. Like, it's going to answer Tartaria for us. This is going to answer the questions that we've had.
Again. But this is it, right? We've seen it in the past. We've studied it. Empty cities. What the hell's going on? Where did all the people go? And it looks like we're going through it again.
Recently, people from across China have been posting videos online saying that cities they live in are no longer the same. Once bustling streets are now deserted. Formerly crowded commercial areas are disappearing, and the busiest places like malls, subways, train stations, and buses are nearly empty.
That's funny. Are people in China doing videos to just fuck with Americans? Are they literally, like, filming at times when it's just not busy, or in areas that aren't that busy in the first place, and they're claiming, it's normally really busy, guys! I definitely am not doing this just for internet clout. Please, you know, please share this.
Does China really still have 1.4 billion people? When it was 1.2 billion, it always felt so lively. whether it was the streets, the malls, or even the villages. But now, with 1.4 billion people, the streets are empty, and the villages are left with just a few elderly.
The streets don't look empty. Look at all the people. What are you talking? Like in this shot, there's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 people just in this one shot. What are you talking about? There are cars, of course, but I'm just talking about pedestrians. There are 5 pedestrians in this one shot. What are you talking about?
The number of students in schools has dropped by several times.
Look at all the cars, too. Like, these cars got here from somewhere. Someone drove these cars here and parked them, and they're in the buildings working. This is probably a business district during working hours, so people are in the buildings doing business shit.
Where did
the population density, or rather the population distribution, is likely changed, and there are some failed malls? I do know that they have like some like buildings and like living areas that are like built without necessarily a plan for people to go into them, so they could also be filming that stuff. JP Black with a bingo. Let me take a look at your bingo card real quick. See if you got your bingo. Reporting in cars, satanic free space doesn't understand their problem is capitalism and chemtrails. You win! JP Black, congrats. I will gift you your sub. Bum, 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 bum. So that is our official bingo winner for today. We'll still play for fun, but JP Black is the official winner. Congrats.
All these people go? What would you feel if you woke up one day and everyone, your city, the people around you...
I can random it. Too late. I gave it to you. It's yours. You didn't have a gift sub.
...had disappeared. What would you do?
Oh boy, that's, for some reason, Adolf Hitler, Nelson Mandela, and Elon Musk together. Okay. Alton Undying says, there's also a trend where people make TikToks of themselves in abandoned-looking places. It's actually a 3D art. They got caught when building clipped in while filming. Oh, interesting.
Oh, good morning, afternoon, and evening, Tartary Australia. Hi, Mr. Autodidactic. We're back here.
Yes,
for kick-ass.
To kick ass. Yes, we've come to chew gum and kick ass, and we're all out.
So, like, straight into it.
Reference to the movie They Live on the bingo card. That's a reference to the movie They Live. They didn't show it, but that's a line from They Live. We did it.
It's a big topic, and Campbell and I had a really good night the other night, we're just relaxing, having some wine, and just took... Well, you guys all saw the last podcast where we were looking at China, so that's where we're going to kick off today, because this topic of China has fascinated us. I mean, because I was actually there 2 years ago and saw it with my own eyes, and came back and was like, China's empty, what's going on?
What?
And now, as we showed in the...
Is this an issue of population density where in her head she's like, it's over 1 billion people, but I didn't see as many as that? And it's like, well, were you in an area that was less population dense? Like, it's a pretty big area over which there are that 1 billion something people.
The last podcast, there are all these Chinese people in China walking around making videos saying, where's all the people?
Many people are starting to question if China still has 1.4 billion people as officially claimed. The economy is struggling, businesses are quiet, and streets are less crowded, and even rural areas are getting emptier. This raises the question, where did China's population go? It's strange, the holiday is over, but where have all the people in Beijing gone? I don't know if you've noticed, but the streets in Beijing are empty. The malls are empty. The streets are empty. Everywhere is empty. Can anyone analyze this? Where did all the people go? Did they go back to the countryside to retire, or have they moved to other places for opportunities? It feels like there are fewer and fewer people in Beijing, but I don't know where they went. Can anyone help me figure this out?
Yeah, this feels like weird bait. I don't know the exact purpose of this bait, but it has a weird bait vibe.
The World Trade Center in Beijing is all shut up, and there's no one around. What happened? It used to be so vibrant.
Where have all the people gone? The streets in Shanghai are so empty. Look, the streets are deserted. Where did everyone
I'm literally
go?
like, look at there were people in that shot. What are you talking about?
Honestly, when I came to Shanghai 10 years ago, we had to wait to cross the street. Now it's empty. Just look at Pudong Airport 10 years ago. The number of people was so much higher than now. Where did all the people go? I really don't understand. Even in our town, there are so few people. I didn't expect Shanghai to be so empty. Look at the stores.
They want
They're
like
all
Times Square on New Year's Eve foot traffic, but even Times Square doesn't look like that every day.
Struggling. There's always space.
Yeah, I'm not sure the actual story behind this, but very, very not a thing, in my opinion. Alright, moving on.
Are NASA using AI astronauts to fake the International Space Station? Well, it certainly seems that way in certain clips, like the one we're going to entertain in a minute. Very strange. I've heard no one come up with a logical explanation to what we're going to see. Like I say, it would appear either AI or some technological meltdown. Now, no one doubts an observation in the sky which is cited as the International Space Station. I've seen it myself with my own eyes, but it's obviously not a space station in freefall around a physically impossible globe Earth, is it?
Thinks evidence is self-evident. I've also seen the space station like one time when I was younger. You know, you can sometimes see it in the right conditions when it's like traversing over you. I also saw it. The idea that you can claim, like, I know exactly what that is or is not by looking at it is so insane.
Is it? Because if it was, of course, we wouldn't have so many space clips that are fails. If it was, we'd have...
You perceive them to be fails. Level Earth Observer. I don't know why I ever pick Level Earth Observer videos. He's the most annoying flat earther because he pretends he's not a flat earther. Says he's a demonstrable realist.
Evidence that the globe Earth theory was physically true. We don't. We've just got an abundance of physicality that tells us the globe's impossible, and of course an abundance of space clips that are quite frankly embarrassing, and of course very revealing about the bigger picture of what we're facing here with institutions like NASA, the mainstream media, who are telling us reality is exactly the opposite to what's physically true. And they're showing us space clips.
And that's always true as long as he defines what's physically true as things that NASA doesn't want you to know.
To justify it. And quite frankly, like I've said, the space clips are embarrassing. So let's have a look. So this is the clip in question. All I want you to do is focus on this so-called astronaut here on the right, who's currently in the middle of our screen, this lady, who happens to be her birthday. And she's going to give us all a lovely present here with this weird, bizarre performance, okay?
Okay.
The clip here is on loop, it's very short. I'll play it, it'll loop around a couple of times, then I'll come back, we'll cut the sound down and zoom in on her. And someone enlighten me here on what's going on, because this is very strange. I can't think of any logical reason or explanation here of what we're seeing here other than some sort of technological meltdown or, like I originally stated,
oh my God, play
artificial
the clip.
intelligence.
Is he just trying to get to the fucking mid-roll ad point? Show the clip. This could be a fucking YouTube short.
Hi. First of all, Tracy, happy birthday. Hi.
Once more.
Hi.
Does he not understand that there's a delay? There's a long delay because they're in space. She's also maybe a little awkward because, like, I don't mean to stereotype people, but she's a scientist, and sometimes scientists, STEM people, aren't as good at communications. And I don't say that against STEM people, they're just different proficiencies. So, you know, she might just be a little nervous to be on camera. That's it.
First of all, Tracy.
Very strange, Tracy. We're just gonna...
I don't think it's that strange. It's just, I think she's just a little awkward. That's fine. I don't think they hired her for her personality. They hired her to do whatever role she does on the space station.
Zoom in.
I'm not knocking her personality either, by the way. I don't know her. I'm just, yeah.
And cut the sound. So we're back with the birthday girl, Tracy. Like I said, I've zoomed in here, turned the volume down, and we get to see this very strange performance on loop here. Look at Tracy's leg here, her right leg on the left as we're looking at it. Does a bit of an Elvis sort of impersonation. Look at the way she twists and talks her body. Again.
Yeah, she's trying to remain stable. She's in free fall around the Earth constantly, so she's in microgravity, or simulated microgravity, basically. So yeah, she has to adjust, because every little movement is going to make her, oh, because again, not on Earth.
Again, very strange. But most bizarre is her head movement. Look. What is that all about?
She's using her head to kind of stabilize herself. Kind of using her head to, like, try and remain pointed towards the camera. Can you not tell, based on looking at this, that's what she's doing? She's trying to kind of use her head to mediate the momentum.
So let's zoom in for the head first of all. What is going on in Tracy's world right now? Watch the head. What is going on? Very strange, Tracy. I can't think of any kind of logical explanation that would explain this away.
Flat Earthers are, like, really desperate after the final experiment, huh? It feels like they're, like, really grasping at straws to try and find anything to distract from the fact that, like, oh no! Our worldview was devastated and some of our most popular contributors have defected to the globe Earth side.
It's bizarre. Look at Tracy's body. A little bit of a torque and a twist. Maybe a slight adjustment. And of course that Elvis twist there of the right leg.
Yeah, there's a bar there that they can slip their feet under. She's doing something with the bar.
Again, very strange. All unnatural.
And you can tell it's unnatural because of the way it is. She's in space! How natural do you expect her to look? She didn't evolve in zero gravity.
All very bizarre. We know space in the sense of a vacuum residing next to an air pressure system, Earth. We know those two things are impossible based on demonstrable.
They're not impossible. It happens every day. We're living on the planet where that happens because the atmosphere is held to Earth with gravity, the thing that you don't take seriously.
Reality. Because you need a wall to separate those two systems from each other. So we know space in the vacuum sense is impossible.
Nope, not impossible.
We know the globe Earth theory is also physically impossible.
What does he mean, do the math? He's sort of rhetorically gesturing towards objective, like, something. Because math can have proofs, right? You can prove something with math. So he's trying to say, like, I'm so sure of this that I'm telling you to do the math. What math does he want you to do? I don't even think he knows. He just knows that no one's gonna do the math. So he just sounds very confident by linking what he's saying here with the confidence of a mathematical proof.
And then, of course, when we look at space, the bigger picture, it's quite an embarrassment, to be honest, for the people that cling on to it in the hope that in their minds, their heads, their hearts,
Do I have to cling on to it, or can I Vulcan it?
things that are physically impossible somehow become a reality because of weird performances like we're seeing on our screen. We are in very strange times, ladies and gentlemen. I've never bought into an alternative product, but I've always known the globe was iffy right from day one. And of course, when I really analysed it, it became obvious that it was physically impossible because no one could cite any physicality to me to suggest it was anything other than a belief.
I find his use of the word physical and physicality to be interesting because it's an interesting trick he does in that anytime there's evidence that, you know, the Earth is a globe, as it is, he always finds ways to rhetorically, again, with him, it's a lot about rhetoric and the way he describes things. He'll always find a way to describe that evidence as non-physical, right? So if it's any evidence that he doesn't like, he calls it non-physical. Whereas if there's something that he perceives as being dispositive proof of the globe, he refers to those things as physical, and rhetorically will refer to those things in very physical, material terms, because to him it feels more solid. That's real. That's what makes it true, is if he defines that evidence as physical, but evidence against him as immaterial. It's interesting. He does this all the time. H-Baird says he has to cling on now.
Experience Bish.
That's from the VCR Klingon game, question mark?
Belief system, a theory. Then I went looking at space. I found nothing but silly bits of footage that were, quite frankly, either very funny or incredibly embarrassing. The general public make it worse. They do not have the discernment. They're unable to logically...
Discernment. Notice it's not evidence or even proof. They don't have the proper discernment. Discernment is the quality that is you saying that you believe the things I believe. That's basically what it means to a conspiracist. If you have discernment, you agree with me. If you don't agree with me, you don't have discernment. Again, it's a thought-stopping mechanism. It's a way to disregard the views and feelings of others that don't share the same views as yourself. You don't have discernment.
Break stuff down because of emotional attachments, whether it be to the education system, the one that they've paid very highly to have in higher education, university or whatever. That holds them back in the way they can be free thinkers and analyze themselves in a logical, discerning, non-emotional, non-biased fashion.
Non-emotional. He believes that his position is non-emotional in any way. That's interesting.
Problem is, many people can't do that. The ones...
He's unemotional. Most people can't do that, you know. He's really very special. He's a very special boy. He's not emotional at all. In fact, he knows things better than most people. He's able to put that silly human emotion aside and stand tall as the ultimate arbiter of truth. Again, he's emotionless here, remember.
that can and can put by the emotion or any bias they've got and still stand by what
puts up hand like Patrick. Is hubris an emotion?
Is true, regardless of the results. Those people stand out of the crowd. They're the ones that shine. They're the ones that can take this subject forward. And they're the ones that simply stand by demonstrable physical truths because...
There it is again. His beliefs are demonstrable physical truths. Your beliefs are ridiculous. His beliefs are demonstrable physical proof.
That's all you need The moment you start promoting belief systems, the physical truth of this realm starts to suffer. You only need to stand by what is. That's enough.
Oh yeah, demonstrate them, please. Excuse you, Karina. You don't have to demonstrate things. You just have to call your beliefs demonstrable, and that does all the work. As long as your audience are fools.
Enough to highlight what isn't, okay? And space, well, yeah. Have a good one, everyone.
Let's take a look at Flat Earth Dave interviewing, let's see, what is his name? Sure, he'll say within the thing. Basically, this is the Flat Earth belief that the moon is secretly a reflection of the Earth.
Map, something I'm very interested in, but don't know a lot about. And Peter says you're very well studied on it. Should we say that? Or you're an expert? What would you call yourself?
I wouldn't say I'm an expert. I'd say I'm about 30-40% in, but enough to be confident with it.
All right. So where do you want to start? Now, for those of you that don't know, people have been looking up at the moon, and the craters on the moon, the patterns on the moon do seem to have an incredible amount of correlation to the continents of the Earth. And the question is,
they don't. It's not even really close. It's a really, really weird pareidolia thing mixed with a good dose of priming. Basically, a flat earther will say to another flat earther, look at the surface of the moon. Don't you see the continents of the Earth there? And that primes your brain to start looking for shapes on the surface of the moon that might resemble in some way continents on Earth. In my opinion, even trying to look at it from that frame, I don't think it fits. But that's basically what's going on here, is people see what they want to see, and they're being primed for it.
Is what do the continents of the Earth actually look like? So Peter is going to show us as much evidence as he has, and we'll see what happens. How's that?
Yeah.
Just a Peach with $1 tip says, discernment is a word a lot of people use to reject evidence. Fundamentalists, conspiracy theorists, and even congressmen. Yes, I've definitely heard it said from fundamentalists and others.
We'll see what happens. Okay, well, I'm just basically coming from the Gleason's map. So
Yeah.
I'll sort of give a brief as I see it.
Okay.
The Gleason's map is a forensic match to the moon. That's what I can see. And basically is
very convenient that it's like the most popular depiction of the Earth too, isn't it? It's very convenient that the moon is a reflection that looks like the popular projection of the map. That's interesting.
globe map. They're saying that the Gleason's map comes from the globe map, and that's on the Gleason's patent, isn't it?
Right, but it's the other way around. The globe comes from the Gleason's map.
I think that as well.
Yeah.
No.
So where does the Gleason's map come from? Well, the Gleason's map marries up with the moon map. So for me, the moon map is the reference. The Gleason's map comes from the moon map. And
so he thinks that cartographers historically were able to chart the Earth by looking at the moon. Have you asked a cartographer? Because they exist. You could go find a cartographer. They're still a thing.
Do you think that Gleason created the map from the moon, or he created the map and the moon is the reference to that map?
Yeah, I think he got it from the moon.
Interesting.
Yeah. Because
I think even for Dave, he's like, I'm not so sure about that one.
Because, I mean, you see hidden continents as well.
How the globe is like 300 years older. See, the problem is you're thinking about things and actually looking into them and when they would take place. That's going to be a real problem if you want to believe bullshit people tell you on the internet. Penikagami with 40 bits says, something I'm really interested in, but I don't know a lot about, huh? Sounds like most things you're into, Dave. By the way, it's concerning and weird when someone Facebook posts and then comments like 30 comments in their own post, right? Not fighting people in the comments, just adding comments to themselves. That is odd. Is Dave doing that or something?
Don't you? So when you map it all out, you'll see something like the lost city of Alexandria and Pangaea and what's the other one there?
Pangea.
Mu?
Say that again.
Mu? The lands of Mu, M-U?
Lemuria.
Is that where cows come from?
Lemuria.
Okay.
So there's 3 of them. Now, they've been picked up on Earth. They can see that on Earth. But what I've realised is every single inch of the moon is here on Earth. Every single inch.
What about the dark side?
That's every valley, every crater, every trench, deep oceans, every continent. But what I found, Dave, is that when you put this out, like I put this out on my TikTok account, just to get a bit of a response from the Globers to see what they thought when you say something like that. So when you say the Gleason's map is a forensic match of the moon, you know, you're going to expect some kind of response from the Globers. So I don't know if I could show you that small video.
Well, you can. You can share anything you want. You have the ability to share screen and then, open up whatever window you have open. So open up whatever video files or picture files you want, then click share screen and select that window.
Okay.
So I had a comment to make. That's a bold statement that everything is on the moon. Now, people say that the moon is a reflection of the Earth. I don't like the word reflection. I think
no.
I look at it like our DNA is like monkey's DNA, but it's not a reflection. It's just part of the same system.
Yeah, do you know what? I think
we're related. We're related to monkeys.
Even if you're in a courtroom, for instance, let's think of a courtroom scenario. Personally, I would say it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter how it got there. It doesn't matter if it's an image, a projection.
Okay, wait. So they not only think that it's like a mirror image, they think like it's like a reverso bizarro Earth where it's literally physically a mirror. Like it's not an optical trick. It's like Bizarro World or like the Upside Down or the Underdark or something where it's like a weird physical anti-version. Like the Star Trek mirror universe. Okay. All right.
A negative.
On that Earth, I'm a prolific conspiracy theorist.
You know, call it what you want.
And a fundamentalist.
It doesn't actually matter. What matters is it is there. So you could end up arguing about, well, what is it? What is it? And why is it there? And who did it? So for me, it's more the fact that it's there whether you like it or not.
All right.
I don't know if that answers it, but
let's see what you got. All right, now I think I'm sharing.
Yeah.
let's see if it works with sound.
Do I think Moon Hannah hates movies? I do. I think she hates movies. I think that she's a music person and she only listens to streaming.
I'll turn the sound on.
Okay, this is just a very short video for the Globers. They want to know where the Gleason's map is on the moon. Are you ready?
Am I a trans man on Bizarro Earth? On Bizarro Earth, I'm actually a very, very happy cis woman. That's the one thing that she has that I don't. Very sad.
There you go.
That's the Gleason's map. Now, that doesn't that
she's a real bitch though. So
let me ask you, why does that look so different? It's a different. The continents are different shapes and everything.
What you've got to do, if you're in that video now, because that's all it is really. I only dropped it in there as little as possible, with saying that the Gleason's map is on the moon. Now I knew there would be a response from the Globers. They'd say what you've just said there. It's hang on a minute, that doesn't seem to fit.
So is this the United States right here?
Yes, that's South America.
Whoa, is that the U.S.?
Yeah.
Oh, that's South America.
Yeah, I'm thinking no. If you can't tell if it's the U.S. or South America, I'm starting to think that maybe it's not either of those things.
Okay, and this is the United States. I mean, the
Central America.
The relevant sizes to each other. All right. So when you say, listen, I'm questioning you because
It's okay. That's
want to
okay.
figure this out.
Where's Australia? Where would you say
Australia would be.
That's it.
This would be it here.
No, that's exactly right now where you are, Australia.
This is Australia right here, right?
No, the black one.
Oh, the black one.
No, the black one is the sunken city of Alexandria.
Okay.
The sunken city of Alexandria. I thought that was a mistake earlier, which is why I didn't bring it up. Because I thought they just meant Atlantis, but misspoke. But now he said it twice. Why does he think the city of Alexandria was lost under the sea? Why does he think that? I don't understand. Like, yeah, like Overthought says, like, the city of Alexandria, like a thing. It's like in Egypt or some shit, right? Like, what?
So that's not on the Gleason's map. So the white one, which was the bottom one you just had, that's it. That's Australia. And just to the right is New Zealand. Now
Right
you're getting a very limited version here. As we get talking now, this will start to come a little bit more clearer. So what I did is I put that one out, knowing full well that the globers would go, it doesn't match, it doesn't fit. The continents are different sizes.
Correct. You are correct. Yes? And how are you going to counter these very valid concerns about your beliefs?
Now, they are right. They're absolutely spot on with that. Because that's what I thought when I first looked at this. I thought, well, Australia is a completely different size. So what you
Don't worry, I'm sure he justified it in some bizarre way.
have to do, you have to start getting more into the detail. Now, the way I did it is I looked at map projections. Now, I don't know if you've ever had a look at map projections in general.
Is he gonna mix and match how continents look on different projections to try and make them fit? Because that wouldn't make any sense. Why would it fit from one projection and a different one from another? That doesn't make any sense.
How many?
I mean, in fairness, none of this makes sense, but that really doesn't make sense.
You say there is
an infinite number.
I'm glad you said that because I thought there was only about 6 or 7, and then I went on the NASA website and they had 294 on it.
Well, we know there's not 294 then. It's every number except 294.
Yeah, exactly. So all those different map projections, what you're getting into is
it's original horrifying apocalypse.
Completely normal, Dave, for a continent to change shape and size depending on what projection you're using. So when you're messing around with the coordinates, the horizontal and the vertical, is that changes the shape of a continent. Now, what it doesn't do, in fact, if I can give you a link again to this next one. So how do I get that link again? Go to share.
Yeah, go get your link and send it in the messages.
Is that chat?
It's in the menu bar on the bottom of the page, 4th from the left. Oh, hold on. I have to stop sharing, I think.
Okay.
We're so good at this.
Get back to that a second. Yeah, that was the blue.
Yeah, do that.
So if I go back to, I've got the feeling.
You have to put your mouse over the.
Okay, new rule: in any video call, there needs to be at least one person like under 40 to do the tech. Because holy fuck.
The Zoom share button, which is the green. All right.
Okay.
All right. All right.
There we go.
Here we go.
Okay, so scroll down. Keep going to
under 40 but over 20 seems to be the sweet spot for people who know how to use basic computer functions.
The
millennials are the one generation that learned how to properly function desktop computers.
Third one, the third black box, examples of projections.
Okay.
Now there's 4 map projections there.
Mm-hmm.
Now, where are those 4 map projections of, as far as you're concerned?
What about Gen Z? Gen Z are worse with computers than millennials. So
What are they of?
Because they've mostly used smartphones and they don't know how to properly navigate like file systems and how to actually troubleshoot issues.
It's the United States.
But you can't say that, can you? Because they're distorted.
Not as distorted as your moon map was, but yes, they're distorted.
Right, fair enough. So you're not going to get, say, New York and Los Angeles flip over, are you?
Sorry, Camino 3. You're the exception.
In the different distortions.
You're saying that they're the same in all of that.
New York's always over there to the right, and Los Angeles.
Right, they're not going to change positions, correct? So everything's in its general.
So you've got 52 states, and those 52 states don't change position.
50.
We have 50 states.
56. I'll have to.
Well, 52 if you count Canada and Mexico.
Nice. That's what Google does for you.
Fuck off.
Even though okay,
these people are scumbags.
So the fact that cities
Fuck
are
off.
in places they should be.
Okay.
That's how we identify it. So if you scroll down a little bit further, Dave, now somewhere around here, let's see, I've got distortion to not mean consonants can be. Okay, that 10-second video, like here.
Click here, 10-second video.
Can you see which is, that's it.
Distortions are normal on world map projections.
Oh my god, what the fuck is he even?
I get it. There's not 294.
I'm gonna move on, because they do not know how to succinctly lay an argument down.
Yeah, so, it is, in fact.
Screaming at the radio says, funny thing is that the distance between those cities is a thing you can measure are impossible on a flat earth.
Getting pretty gnarly, don't you think? So, one thing I wanted to talk about in more depth is the reptilian infiltration and control of society.
I approve of this reptile man. Got a good vibe. Long fingers.
The level that it goes to. Okay.
This is in response to the 52 states thing. What? It's just it's a werewolf giving the finger. All right.
Now, a lot of people know about the reptilian conspiracy and they believe somewhat in it, but I don't think they realize
That's James Earl Jones from fucking Conan. That's James Earl Jones's snake wizard from Conan the Barbarian. Thought we wouldn't notice, but I did. That's James Earl Jones's reptilian form from Conan the Barbarian.
level of infiltration, the amount of control, how it's completely. It's not like they control some major institutions and not others, or, you know, America is partly divided, you know, partly, you know, the major business interests. No, if you are not someone who is actively fighting against
You would
Satan,
have preferred his locust form from Exorcist 2, but I'll allow it. And then he spits a tomato onto a spike for some reason.
and Satan is actively fighting against you, you are part of the satanic machine. Even people that are Christians, even people that...
Which of the lizard people is Hannah? You'll never see my true reptoid form depicted. It would be too much. The Scalies would never let me be.
think that they would be against reptilian rule, but if they are not fighting, if they're not in the fight, you see, what happens is, as I've been saying, it's an either-or system. It's a two-king system. It really is hard to comprehend that we're living in a beast empire. It's just, everything is, it's an agenda of fallen angels that...
So this behind-the-scenes photo from Blade Runner he thinks depicts Harrison Ford as a reptilian because his brain is filling in lack of information in the photograph. That's interesting.
They left their first estate, as we read, followed after Satan, who rebelled against God, and his agenda is to make the world his. But he knows everything that's going on. But even so, it's combined with, as I see it, his desire to reel the world in, as it were.
It's interesting that he was trying to fuck with it. Like, there's no more information in the photograph just because you, like... You know what I mean? You're not going to get more information out of the photograph by softening it.
Reel the world in, as it were. Well, it looks like an opening up in the skies, heaven beyond. But yeah, so the everything is under their control. I mean, it's, you know, thinking that it's somehow out of the beast control, anything, is just foolish, which is why I kind of like to remind about Trump, is that, you know, not that I dislike this guy any more than any other president that I've seen or heard. No, I like him more than any other president I've seen or heard. The problem is that when I think about everything that has to be in place, I just can't buy it. And you know, a lot of people, they cannot, you know, the Benny Johnsons, all the people that support Trump, they just don't realize that you can't possibly be in the position he's in. Same for Elon. And somehow be outside of the beast control system. Somehow out of control. If they were by any means a rebel, which would mean that they are true friends of the Lord. Because if you're a true rebel against Satan, you're a friend of God almost automatically. There's nowhere else to go because you choose.
No, he's not accidentally based, because he's saying that he likes everything Trump says. Like, he likes Trump's xenophobic, like, fascistic, authoritarian bullshit. He's just afraid he's a reptilian. So that's not based. That's just delusional. He's still an asshole.
Goodness, you choose right. You choose something that's not a wicked heritage, right? So you automatically would be someone who would come to the Lord. But you see, when you see Trump talking about the like he's got that Bible, and then he's got the Ten Commandments in it, or not the Ten Commandments, the Constitution. Yeah, great. Okay, I'm glad you got the Constitution in there and everything. Oh, yeah, that's great. First time I've ever seen a president advertise the Bible like that. But you got to realize, friends, you see, when you look at everything in the aggregate, like I said, you add it up and you think about everything. All I have to do, because I get caught up in it too. I get caught up in clicking the little things that YouTube sends to me. Do you support Kash Patel or kicking out all the corrupt politicians or whatever? Totally, man. I like to click yes on that. But
what is he talking about? I'm assuming he's getting little fucking push polls on YouTube and he thinks they're legitimate?
What to do is think about that fake.
I'm glad I don't have ads on YouTube.
Assassination attempt. I mean, it was before all that. I mean, I never voted for Trump. I never bought into it. I knew he was all part of the system. It's all a good cop, bad cop thing, which is, again, what I would hope my friends would realize. It's very hard to realize, I know. And, it's hard for me to point the finger. But like I said, I feel pretty sure that the same people who don't have the discernment to realize that Trump can't possibly be outside the system.
Oh, very much so, Amper, very much so.
That Elon Musk, richest man in the world, can't possibly be outside of the satanic system. In other words, someone who goes by the script, goes by the book. That's why The Simpsons can do that predictive programming, that
predictive programming on the bingo card.
Predictions. I mean, it's totally, it's because they control it. They control them, they know what's going to happen. They have the ability to look forward into the future. They have quantum access, they can see.
Ooh, quantum access. Believes sci-fi technology exists on the bingo card.
So yeah, the Christians that right now they don't have the discernment to realize
There's that word again, discernment. People just don't believe me because they don't have discernment. I'm not crazy. You don't have discernment.
That the stuff, the whole thing is an act. Okay, so all the and you know, and like I said, I mean, I couldn't blame anybody for being swept up into it momentarily. Like, man, you know, gosh, you know, there's a little part in the back of my mind, like hopes, you know, oh, you know, maybe he'll do some good. All right, deporting the illegal aliens and assigning some good people. But you see, even if these people think that they are rebels or they're outside the system, they're not. Okay. If you're truly a rebel and outside the system, you'll have a whole different perspective, and you definitely won't have any power to do anything in this world. Because, see, the money that belongs to Satan, which is all the money, he's not giving it to anyone. And he's very, very jealous of it.
All money belongs to Satan.
Pissed off. If I get any money,
does Satan want to pay my bills?
What?
Satan, gift subs, you bum.
Okay.
Where's my money, Satan? Satan, where's my money?
Satan can't stand if anybody gets his money other than his children, his obedient types that do what he said.
Barely breathing, thanks for gifting 5 tier 1 subs. Found Satan's account. Thank you, Satan. Mwah.
Yes. And you may think, and even Donald Trump, I don't know if he consciously realizes it, but he's in it. He's part of it. It's the good cop, bad cop system, even if he himself...
Marcella, thanks for gifting a sub. You are also Satan.
...is not fully conscious. But you see, you make these agreements at a soul level. And I believe everything that he's doing that looks like it's a good thing, you know, people are going, yeah, it's all to make the rest of what he does more palatable. You see, what they don't want...
Altered Undying, thanks for gifting a sub and kicking off a hype train.
...is the French Revolution, because this is inconvenient for them, okay? They like...
I'm sorry, what about the French Revolution?
...to keep their cattle in line and don't stress them out so much, so what they're trying...
The idea that Trump is a good cop. He is if you're a racist, xenophobic psycho that has disdain for anyone not like you. Then he probably seems great. It's only if you have empathy for other human beings that, you know, things start to get a little yikesy. 30% to level 3 on the hype train. Benikagami with 40 bits says, when they aren't saying you lack discernment, they're saying shit like you need therapy, you have hate and anger issues, anything to not address that what you're saying to them. By the way, dude, if he's a reptoid, shouldn't it concern you how much you agree with Satan? No, he thinks he's saying the right things to trick you. He doesn't think he's saying satanic things. He thinks he's saying good things to hide the fact that he's satanic.
It's very clear.
And in his mind, good things are, you know, mass deportations, transphobia, homophobia, disregard for the poor. You know, American Christianity for the most part.
Very clever when you observe it. What they do is they make it so that it's miserable but just standable, and then give...
He's anti-Trump as a person, but he believes the things that Trump says are true. He just thinks Trump doesn't believe them. That clear?
The enslaved, miserable heaps a sense of hope, a sense of things moving in the right direction. It's perfect why I said in that movie They Live, the news guy...
Again, They Live is about fucking austerity politics and Republicans and conservatism.
That's one.
Capitalism, neoliberalism.
One of them is going, we don't need pessimism. It's a bright, shining new day. Right?
Reagan. It's Reagan.
Because they don't want the slave peasants to rise up, because that's just...
Always mourning in America. Rainy, thanks for 50 bits, 32% to level 3 on the
less hype. Convenient for them. Not that they can't handle it. They'll fund both sides of the war and take the winnings. You know, but it's even more beneficial if they can keep society.
I don't think we had giants on the bingo so far.
To the point where they can control it so perfectly that there's just no...
It's Trump too. Trump and Reagan go hand in hand. No, I was literally saying in the movie They Live that alien was supposed to be Reagan. It was quoting a Reagan speech.
Resisting anybody who's outside the...
Trump is in a similar vein, but in that movie they were directly referencing Reagan.
System. Anybody who they don't like, they can find a way. See, they have a whole plan for people like me, probably, and people, people that are truly outside the system. And I see a lot of people that have discovered everything, or they just, for whatever reason, they're outside of the satanic system. The blessing of the satanic system, the wealth, and we all have one purse, the scripture says, satanic system. And they are wrecked, man. I mean, just wrecked. Psychologically, just they've had it, man. They're trashed.
Projection.
They can't keep on top of it now.
Minute left on the hype train.
Now, I'm not going to brag and say I'm any better than anybody else, except for the fact that it's God that has blessed me with the ability to continue on, whereas others are long sleeping in the dirt for doing what I did. And not to brag, friends, it's only because the Lord saw fit, for whatever reason, to put pressure or to make people aware of this fact. I mean, I'm living here in Serpent City, surrounded by these things. And let me tell you, they ain't loving me. Oh, no.
He lives in L.A.
In this town, they can sense my spirit, too. They can sense my spirit. Woo-wee. Not welcome in the satanic establishments, which is where? Which ones? All of them. All of them. There's no establishment that isn't a satanic establishment.
Grayline says, man, he sure is driving a car on a government-maintained road while filming on a smartphone for someone outside of the system. I don't think these people understand what they even mean by the system outside of just authority they don't like. They don't think of these things as the system. They take them entirely for granted. Thank you for the hype train, everyone. Much appreciated for those gift subs and bits. Fenekagami says, here's the problem with that, though. If Satan can pretend to be good, then Satan could pretend to be God to trick God's followers, and I don't know, make them hate preachers or something? But hey, I actually think about my beliefs. I don't have faith and discernment, so what do I know? You're God, I mean, right, my guy? Don't let anyone tell you otherwise. Did you accidentally invent Gnosticism again? You gotta stop reinventing Gnosticism, chat. Stop trying to make Gnosticism happen. It's not gonna happen.
Establishment. There's no rebel good guy place, okay? You're not opening up a store in Satan's kingdom and lasting all that long. Anyway, probably couldn't even get the capital to barely even try it.
Oh boy, I can't wait for the horrible thing he says about that flag.
See, people are freaked out with fear about all this.
Green guy with the $1 tip says, the ladies in the neighborhood like me so much, I'm the baby daddy to half the mosquitoes. What?
But to me...
Do you call the mosquitoes in your neighborhood ladies?
It's all like the deportations. I mean, it's all just to make the people think that there's some kind of change in the government. Once you see the bigger picture, you just can't be fooled by it, Then the next president, they'll come in, he'll be soft towards immigration and open up the borders again, just back and forth.
Borders have never been open. They're borders. They're borders. I hate these people. I hate Republicans who intentionally manufacture propaganda to poison the brains of idiots. I'm so tired.
Back and forth.
I'm so tired.
To give the people hope, okay?
It's hard enough to educate people when you're just fighting entropy. Much less an entire group of people actively trying to misinform people to take advantage of them. It's an impossible task.
But meanwhile, what they really want to do, see, this means nothing. Means nothing. You may get a little, maybe they'll do something about the immigration, oh my God, you know, the illegal immigration. But I think the policy is very consistent. Doesn't matter what stage puppet actor that they have in place to make the plebes like us think that there's something actually outside of the will of Satan's puke empire. It's just all bullshit. Okay, yeah, about that secret underground hatch in the bathroom at Disneyland right here.
What?
In California. Yeah.
What?
Holy cow, guys. See, now, what you got to understand is, just want to make clear to anybody who doesn't really get this, they don't go through all that trouble so they can snatch kids just so some weirdos can do pedophilia or maybe satanic rituals. I think it's the Hunger Games. I mean, they're doing...
They're battle royaling the children? Like in Battle Royale?
Doing it because they're hungry. They eat us. Okay, that's what you gotta wrap your head around. It's been going on forever. It's not some new, terrible, horrible thing that's just recently cropped up. No, this is what they do. They feast on human flesh. Okay, now on this, I'm not 100% sure, like anything in Scripture, but this is really interesting because it applies to that whole male-female aspect of the Scripture, and it starts right away here in Genesis, right in the beginning. And I believe when God is talking about the day and the night, the greater light and the lesser light, who is he talking about? Okay.
Talking about the sun and the moon. The sun and the fucking moon!
So let's look at this here. So he says here, Genesis 1:16, and God made two great lights.
One to rule the day and the other to rule the night, the sun and the moon.
The greater light to rule the day and the lesser night to rule the night. He made the stars also, but the two great lights and the greater and the lesser might mean the male and the female. Just a guess, maybe not. So I'm not saying, oh, this is all set in stone, this is the divine revelation. No, it's just
doing it in a less silly voice. Benekagami says, dude, we get it. You're mad you missed the punk rock and goth movements and free love. We get it. You're mad you want to be a cool rebel, but here's the thing. You're mad you're not a rebel. You're a bootlicker for power, and you invented a persecution complex to pretend that you're not a slave to conformity. You want to feel special, but you're not. No one is. Embrace your mediocrity and be free of the need to stand out. Being one of many is fine as long as it's not in service of evil.
I was thinking about that's what it might be. Now, it's all a code. So, instantly you think, okay, sun for day, moon for the night, but there's something more being said. And what is that something more? Why would he say that? I believe there is a tangible meaning, a meaning that is, it's able to be understood by man and have...
He's looking for a secret code in the Bible.
Have a meaning to him.
So did Isaac Newton, though, so who knows? Maybe he's a genius.
And a meaning that's important. So it might be talking about the male and female aspect of the Lord, and also the male and female aspect of us.
We're gonna force fem Jesus, losers. Get in the car.
Because as I've been teaching, what Genesis 1, so God created man in his own image. In the image of God created he him. Male and female created he them. singular. See, I think it's singular because
Tea Time Tea says the biblical literalism crowd keeps coming up with weird ways to take these inerrantly literal words.
what it's saying is that the individual, each one, is made male and female, which means that you're not alone. You know, you in this world you're not alone. You have a male or female counterpart, and there's no getting away from the fate. There's no choosing someone else. There's no getting bored. There's no running away. There's no refusing to do it. You will be joined with your significant other, and you'll be happy and you'll like it. That's basically all there is to it.
Oh, well, he's great. Good luck to him.
I am LaShorn, an Azui Holy Fire 3 Reiki Master Teacher here in the U.S.
Oh.
As a light worker, we all know there are many times when we need love and gifts from another light worker.
Maybe we all need love and gifts. That's just life. That's just being a person. That's just Maslow's hierarchy of needs with extra steps.
I don't allow many to work within my energetic
I don't think this is AI.
field. I just don't.
It's old enough where it's not likely AI.
Despite that, I was guided by referral from a trusted spiritual sister to Medbed. On January 31st, 2023, 1 week before my 65th birthday.
Am I AI? Would you really want to know?
I was blessed with the most amazing.
I wish I had an AI Hannah. She could sit here and do stream, and I could just eat cheese.
Amazing, enlightening, confirming journey with Pete. As if it was a rite of passage. It was everything I needed and much more. I was divinely guided and listening, and beyond grateful that I did. I knew nothing about Medbed or Pete, but I felt safe when I booked my session.
I need a clone. No, clones are human beings and therefore have rights. I don't need an employee with rights. I need an AI slop program that I can force to do things for free. Don't you understand what AI is for? Exploitation of other human beings' ideas.
When he turned on his camera, I felt even safer. His peaceful presence, his divine energy was apparent without a word being spoken.
Unionize the Hannah clones? See, this is why I won't do cloning. I've seen multiplicity. Michael Keaton taught me no, bad idea.
My journey
That's also why I won't dress up like a bat and fight crime.
Was a confirmation of so many things that Pete could only have known because he is a true seer. He is connected. I cried the entire journey. My journey was glorious. When Pete said that my galactic...
Wow, she is like in a trance. Feels like describing this. It's actually kind of creepy if I'm being honest. Ooh, virtual medbed. Is this literally like a... Oh my god, it's a binaural beats video. Chat, we're gonna binaural beats. I agree Keaton is the best Batman. Keaton is my favorite Bruce Wayne. That fair? Back in my day, we just used binaural beats to try and grow tits. Didn't work. Didn't work. Anyway.
Hi,
Sophie.
This is Coy from Device Lab. We're an IDH partner with Renaissance located in Tustin, California. What we have here today is a setup to showcase our design capability, both from the industrial, the mechanical, the electronics, and the firmware software using the Renaissance technology. Particularly today we're showcasing Synergy. This is a futuristic concept medical bed incorporating many elements. We have...
It's gotta be real. Look at all those flashing lights.
An example of a patient on the bed with some automation that can go through and do some diagnosis. With that, we have a variety of wireless sensor in the health space.
Oh, look at it! It spins around. Look at it
uses,
sensing.
Wireless EKG, where we can collect data and stream it to a smart device like Android or iOS.
I don't know. I think their Medbed's missing one of those plasma balls to really sell the science.
Along with that, we have a customer application, which is this product from Becker Smith. Becker Smith Flow Save is in the spinal fluid drain device market. The spinal fluid drain device covers patients who have some brain trauma.
Did you just fucking say the mannequin looks cute? How down bad are you, Phoenix? Jesus Christ. You have access to the internet, use it. What are you doing? What are you doing? This featureless mannequin is doing it for you? Good lord. You okay?
Which?
Jesus Christ, a light breeze is gonna set you off. Everyone stand back.
If there is a drain required to relieve pressure in the head, that's what this device does with an IV connection. So with that, under the hood.
Oh, have you seen Pin? I love the movie Pin. When is Pin gonna get a fucking Blu-ray release? That feels like a Vinegar Syndrome release. That has Vinegar Syndrome written all over it. Vinegar Syndrome, I know you don't watch my show, but if you did, please make Pin.
It encompasses many of the Renaissance technology, beginning with the RZ, which is
Renaissance technology, you can tell because he said it.
Tarot cards and oracle cards have to say about the Medbeds. And I have to point out...
Oh my god, she's doing tarot cards for Medbeds?
For the Medbeds.
Look up body pillows. Body pillows are comfy. They're just big-ass pillows. I feel... What is that fucking That's... She's not theatrical at all. That's not how you fucking ponder a sphere. I'll show you how you ponder a sphere, bitch. The spirits are restless today, I see. The swirling crystal divine tells me that your future is bright. You have to ponder. You don't rub the sphere. You ponder the sphere. You caress the sphere. You treasure the sphere. You don't grope the sphere. You ponder it.
Okay, glasses on, and let's see what we can find. What about those Medbeds?
James Proxy says, I don't know how legal it is, but my sister once applied for a job at a bookstore and she was rejected because, quote, the tarot cards said it probably wouldn't work out. I have a feeling she perhaps dodged a red flag there. Or dodged a bullet there, rather. She dodged the death card.
The technology...
the death card actually isn't death, it's about change. I'm aware!
Of healing with frequencies and vibration has been around for a long time, as many of you know.
Caught you, Ran, you fuck.
This Medbed technology...
For the last time, chat, chances are I know what you're about to say. I'm just making a joke, and specificity kills comedy. I'm telling you.
I don't see it as a...
It's like a slant rhyme. You people would yell at Emily Dickinson, I swear to God.
I see that it is happening. I see people on different places all around the world and of this world that are like exploring it or learning it or things like that.
And it's not technology from this planet.
She's not very good at this. I'm gonna move on.
Today I have an update from a Pleiadian High Commander of the
Pleiadian! AI can't even say Pleiadian. What are we even spending billions of dollars for?
Battle Station Excelsior.
There's a Region B Blu-ray of Pin. I'll wait for the American one. It'll probably be a nice new transfer with new special features.
About medbeds. She even gives a clue about the holdup with the bed.
Just a peach with $1 tip says it said out loud just before you actually,
beds and what we can do to move the process along. This information comes from Elena Danan, who I've talked about before. She's got an excellent information portal for all things extraterrestrial, and I will link it in the description. Elena does not channel these communications, but
yes, believes they speak to aliens regularly on the bingo card.
Receives them via physical encounters or technological means. I apologize. The information came December 11th, 2023, and I just saw it. The High Commander Ardana transmitted several things. First, she confirmed that there are new medical technologies due to be implemented on Earth. Terra.
Wow, thanks for letting us know, aliens. Green guy with $1 tip says, my tomatoes are getting big and you don't know shit. We know your tomatoes are getting big. Also, we're almost to $100 for our typical, almost a tenth of the way there.
Refers to us. Concerns about deceptive information were conveyed. Let me take a minute to ask you to share, like, and subscribe this video if you enjoy, and if you want to support the channel, consider leaving a super thanks. Your contribution helps me create more great content for you.
It's AI slop!
Thank you. The second thing of note is that Ardana mentioned that medbeds would be implemented in public medical centers.
Okay, I'm moving on. I try to avoid... I've given myself a mental limit, by the way, of one... At most, I can watch one AI slop video for, like, a tinfoil stream. Because it is a thing in the conspiracy community. I don't think it would be right to ignore it, because it is something conspiracy theorists like. A lot of them like the AI slop. But it's also boring to watch a bunch of it, so I'm trying to limit. The AI slop, because A, it's just obnoxious to look at, but conspiracy theorists love it, so what do you do? What do you do?
One of the most common phrases I have heard incessantly repeated by neophytes since reviving the International Flat Earth Research Society is, "Flat Earth is stupid," even though it was historically the consensus cosmology among literally every ancient culture.
Okay, and centuries ago bloodletting was very popular. Does that make it true? Reality isn't run by consensus.
In modern times, the concept of a flat Earth has become synonymous with stupidity. Calling someone a flat earther is now meant to insult their intelligence.
I mean, yes, correct. It's usually used as shorthand for a foolish person who believes something that's obviously untrue, because that's how the majority of people see flat earthers.
And carries the connotation of being incredibly ignorant. But is this an accurate stereotype? Is the idea of a level, stationary Earth really the epitome of idiocy?
If you believe it today, historically people maybe had reasons to believe that because they lacked the technology and abilities we have today in regard to, like, being able to have more data, being able to actually go into space, being able to see things from higher up, like complex mathematics that perhaps these civilizations hadn't developed yet, depending on the civilization. Like, they're not stupid for that if they didn't have those tools. You're kind of ignorant today, though, if you refuse all of those advances that did lead us to the answer.
And are people who promote it really so utterly unintelligent? Modern mainstream...
I think it's more complicated than that. It's not a single vector. It's not just an intelligence thing, if you could even measure such a thing in, like, a unidimensional, like, slider, which I don't think you can. People who believe flat Earth often believe it because it makes them feel better. It justifies other beliefs that they have. It makes their worldview simpler. It makes them feel special sometimes. There's a variety of complex and interwoven psychological reasons that people believe in conspiracy theories. I think to just say they're stupid is It's reductive to the point of being incorrect. Now, sometimes I get frustrated or something and I'll say that, which isn't great, but you know, it's not true in the literal sense. It is usually much more complicated than that.
Mainstream science treats the current conclusions of cosmology and astronomy as settled, set-in-stone subjects with little room for dissent.
You would have to show actual evidence. Anything is up for debate. Anything is a tentative position in science. You just have to actually falsify claims made by other people or demonstrate the claims that you are making are not falsified when put up to that same scrutiny of falsification.
Heliocentric globe theory is never admitted in academia as being theoretical, but rather taken for granted as a cornerstone of modern scientific knowledge. If Earth is not a spinning ball revolving around the sun, however, then nearly the entirety of modern science and the majority of modern scientists are proven to be either frauds or fools. Therefore, questioning the shape of the Earth is the equivalent of scientific blasphemy, and
No, not really. Again, it's not about it being outside of, like, some doctrine. It's that you're saying something that's unevidenced. Like, it would be like saying, my feet are made of ham sandwiches! Like, I'm mostly concerned for you if you believe that, because there's a lack of evidence that your feet are made of ham sandwiches. Unless they are, in which case I would assume you could demonstrate that.
flat earthers the equivalent of scientific heretics. Is this treatment truly warranted, though? Testing ideas, challenging assumptions.
Okay, but they have been tested, and Flat Earth has been falsified. So the problem is that Flat Earthers want to keep having the discussion after they've been proven wrong. There's nothing to talk about anymore. Like, other people aren't going to engage with you when the discussion's already been had and it's been proven you're wrong, and it's no longer an issue of who's right, it's an issue of you have psychological issues that are preventing you from recognizing that your position has been disproven many times. So this is a psychological issue, not a fact issue. This is you need to learn to accept, I don't even want to say defeat here, because that makes it sound like some sort of moral failing. You need to accept that you were wrong. Something that every human being has to accept sometimes. Everyone is wrong sometimes. About big things, small things. It happens. You're a human being. There's no discussion to be had here scientifically.
And furthering knowledge through evidence and critical scrutiny is the very definition of the scientific method. Science encourages and requires dissent to clarify conclusions, and
you're correct, and if you have actual evidence that can put forward that your belief is true, and that the view that the world is round is untrue, that's fine, but the problem is, that's not what you're doing. I know he thinks that's what he's doing, or at least claims that's what he thinks he's doing, but it's not. At this point, he's effectively making material to soothe other Flat Earthers' egos. He's in the business of comforting other Flat Earthers. Hydrate.
Questioning established scientific norms is precisely how new discoveries are made. One of the forefathers of the heliocentric globe theory, Galileo himself, said, quote, "In the sciences, the authority of thousands of opinions is not worth as much as one tiny spark of reason in an individual man." In other words, science
is... And he had evidence to back up what he said. So he won.
Not a democracy, and scientific authority is not derived from majority opinion or expert decision.
You are correct, but that also doesn't mean that because something is the majority opinion or the expert opinion that it's automatically suspect. In fact, those things typically are indicative that there's something to those claims. Not always. Everything's up for testing. Everything can be questioned. But the fact is that this has been questioned many times for decades, centuries, and millennia. And when it's actually been tested scientifically, it comes out that the Earth is round.
But rather from reason, evidence, and experiments. Globe defenders often deny or downplay the amount of legitimate criticism presented by skeptics, but it is undeniable that
I think we would probably disagree about the legitimacy of a lot of that criticism.
There are a large number of valid objections to the heliocentric globe theory.
Such as?
Casually denying something deemed stupid and deferring instead to expert opinions without doing your own due diligence in carefully
Do your own research on the bingo card.
considering all arguments commits two logical fallacies. Firstly, mocking, joking, or otherwise dismissing.
The appeal to ridicule here only applies if they're using it specifically to disregard your argument. People can call you an idiot and disregard your argument for other reasons.
Something as dumb without presenting a logical reason why commits the fallacy of appeal to ridicule. Secondly, blindly believing in something simply because all experts agree commits the fallacy of appeal to authority.
You're assuming people believe the general consensus of the scientific community because they're the scientific community as a tautology, as an authority, as opposed to understanding and having trust in the process of peer review to root out through its incentive system fakers and people who are incorrect. Not a perfect system, but over a long enough period of time, it has been shown that people who falsify data or misrepresent data, or even just plain get things wrong, are shown to be wrong over a period of time. That's how science works.
When it comes to many supposed proofs of the heliocentric globe theory, such appeals to authority.
This person used an ad populum fallacy at the beginning. He did when he said that classically many ancient civilizations believed the earth was flat, so then apparently it's okay. That's interesting. It's almost like he's a hypocrite.
Are often implicit without being readily recognized. For example, citing NASA images or astronauts' testimony as proof of a globe are not admissible as scientific evidence because they are not readily repeatable. The average person...
What? We send people to space all the time, and we get photos from space all the time. They're absolutely repeatable. What are you talking about? It's repeatable to be able to send stuff into space and take pictures. What?
will never experience the frame of reference required to confirm or deny such claims, so quoting them as proof of a globe is invalid and unsound reasoning. In my experience, most people calling flat Earth stupid actually have no idea what the term flat Earth implies, or what claims flat earthers actually make. For instance, many of them make wild assumptions about some kind of disk world floating suspended in space. And
okay, I will say this. Most people don't know what flat earthers believe, because whenever I tell people what I do for a living, and the way I usually describe it is, oh, I'm a streamer, I make, a lot of people don't know what Twitch is, so it's easier to be like, I do YouTube videos where I debunk conspiracy theories. Inevitably, the other person goes, oh, what's your favorite conspiracy theory to debunk? And I always go, usually, because it's a simple answer and it's easy to talk about without it being too controversial, I usually go, oh, the flat earthers are always very interesting. And you know how, like, cashiers know the same jokes that everyone tells? Because human beings are very similar. We all kind of have the same humor to some extent when we're telling broad jokes, at least. So, like, oh, this thing didn't ring up. And someone at the register's like, oh, I guess I get it for free. So let me tell you one for my job. Anytime I tell people I debunk conspiracy theories and I talk about flat Earth or something, they go, well, why don't they just go to the edge? And everyone thinks they're hilarious, like they're the first person to come up with that joke. It's not. Everyone thinks of the same joke, sorry. But they don't know. Most flat earthers don't think there's an edge. Most of them think it goes on infinitely, or there's a dome and then there's like heaven on the outside or something. But the thing is, it doesn't matter. It doesn't matter that random people I talk to who aren't original with their jokes don't know what specifically flat earthers believe. Because it's one of those things that's so untrue, you can kind of, at least as a heuristic, just kind of hand-wave it and make stupid cliche jokes about it. It's a punchline. That's what it is. It's that ridiculous. To the vast majority of people, it's a punchline because it's that out there. That's not the reason it's untrue, but it is indicative of the fact that it is untrue. That is the reason people act like that.
And ask asinine tongue-in-cheek questions like, where's the edge? What holds up the disk in space? Or why isn't there perpetual daylight everywhere on a flat Earth?
Benikagami says the problem is that these guys are the equivalent of having a color blindness that causes him to see the sky as purple and refusing to recognize that there's just something different about them when everyone else tells them the sky is blue. How do you convince someone like this they're wrong? At some point, everyone just has to give up because you're not listening. Yeah, that's basically where we're at with flat earthers.
Such comments show that these detractors have not done the slightest bit of research into the subject they are condemning, and thus reveal what they...
I like that this image isn't how anything works with light either. Like in the bottom image, if you had a tiny light bulb of a tiny Earth or whatever, you would still be able to see it from outside of directly underneath it because of how light bulbs work. It's not a spotlight.
They really find stupid are their own errant assumptions. By mixing their heliocentric outer space globe world indoctrination with false assumptions about what...
See, this I find interesting too. They think that because the general population has a misapprehension as to what flat earthers believe, it gives them wiggle room to be able to tell themselves, well, if they just understood what we really believed, it would make sense to them. But they don't understand that often the things they really believe are a lot sillier than the preconceived notions people have about it. You know, people will look at, you know, like the image of the flat earth floating in space, and that's silly. But what's sillier to people is to say, oh no, they don't think the earth is a disk in space. They don't think space is real. They think we're living in a dome or the earth goes on infinitely. And I will tell you, I'll tell you this. I've talked to many people about this because they'll do that joke at me. Oh, why don't they go to the end? And then I will explain what they really believe. And the entire tone of the conversation shifts. Not like vis-a-vis me, you know, I'm a personable enough person where it's fine. But like, it goes from, oh, ha ha ha, aren't those people silly, to, oh, they're like genuinely crazy and need help. Like, that's how the tone shifts. When they think that they just think it's a disk in space, oh, aren't they so silly? And then when you explain the actual delusion they have, people realize, oh, fuck, this isn't just some silly little internet thing. These people are crazy. And I don't think they know that. I don't think they understand that their beliefs are crazier than what people assume of them.
Flat Earth actually means. They decide it must be dumb, and then close their minds to the possibility. Compare this with the average flat earther, all of whom received the exact same heliocentric globe education in school, but rather than assuming an alternative cosmology must be stupid or impossible, remained open-minded enough to engage with the...
People do often remain open-minded about this stuff. I make a very conscious effort to go into every Tinfoil Tuesday and every conspiracy theory video with an open mind because I think that's the best way to go into it. It's just that even when you enter it with an open mind, it doesn't hold up to scrutiny because it's not true.
The material.
He doesn't want people to come with an open mind. He wants people to come with a mind primed to believe the thing he's selling.
And learn a new perspective. Every flat earther I know fully believed the
Frankly, especially Eric Dubé, by the way, who's like a huge person that makes money doing this and selling books. I think he's less concerned about you opening your mind and more about you opening your wallet. You know what I mean?
Heliocentric globe theory taught at school and shown on television before doing their due diligence in researching the subject. Only after reading several books, viewing a number of documentaries, and then going out to personally perform their own experiments, do most people begin to realize that Earth is not a spinning ball. In order to learn anything new, it is an essential skill to temporarily suspend disbelief while taking in alternative information. Far from stupid, this ability is actually a key mark of intelligence. As F. Scott Fitzgerald wrote, "The truest sign of intelligence is the ability to entertain two contradictory ideas simultaneously."
And that's fine to entertain them, but when you take the demonstrably untrue one and integrate it into your beliefs, that's a problem, and that's what you've done.
And as Aristotle noted, it is the mark of an educated mind to be able to entertain a thought without immediately accepting or rejecting it.
And one time, Plato said, "They're keeping us trapped in a cave! Get us out! Get us out!"
The majority of people calling flat
I may have paraphrased.
Earth stupid have never read a book on the subject. If they had, and were humble and honest enough with themselves, they would be forced to admit that there are undeniably a large number of legitimate criticisms and unanswered questions surrounding the heliocentric globe theory. When I first began researching the subject myself, I was repeatedly surprised by the intelligence of the Flat Earth authors and the cogency of their arguments. 19th century authors like Samuel Rowbotham, Thomas Winship.
Samuel Rowbotham is who Eric Dubé has plagiarized most of his ideas from, if you're curious.
William Carpenter.
He wrote Zetetic Astronomy, or Zetetic Cosmology, whatever.
Albert Smith, Lady Blunt, David Wardlaw Scott, and many others wrote extensively and convincingly on the subject, sparking a decades-long worldwide debate about the shape of the Earth around the turn
Oh, how did that debate end? I can't wait to find out.
of the century. Personally, I have an IQ of 143.
I bet, Eric. I bet.
Graduated with honors from university with a double BA in philosophy and English, and am now
you use it for double BS.
A published author with books translated into 30 languages. Since writing my own books on the subject and interacting with thousands of readers, I have continued to be surprised at the high average intelligence of fellow flat earthers contacting me. Conversely, the average globe believers have continued to disappoint me with their constant unintelligent insults, snarky sarcasm, haughty hubris, errant assumptions, logical fallacies, lack of common sense, and closed-minded conclusions.
There's that common sense line again.
Regardless of where you currently stand on the subject, we should all be able to agree that questioning science is quite literally how you do science.
Okay, so you continue to ask questions, but generally at a certain point, once something has been tested for falsification and it has stood up to that test arduously over time, it just becomes part of the theory. It just becomes sort of part of what is accepted in the field. So, like, certainly as you're testing further things downstream of that discovery, it sort of innately retests the assumptions that you have made. But, like, you don't do the same experiment over and over forever, necessarily.
It is not stupid to challenge established scientific norms, and in fact, that is the only way scientific progress is ever made.
You think Eric's still going to be doing this shit in 20 years? I think he will. I think he's one of the few flat earthers that'll probably really continue to make money on this for the rest of their life. I don't know why. He just puts out a lot of crappy books that are, like, easy for people, so I imagine as long as there is a flat earth community, and there will probably continue to be at least a small one for the rest of our lives, at minimum. It might have ups and downs and resurgences and lulls, you know, but I'm gonna assume he'll be making money for the rest of his life. Benikagami says, joke's on you, Eric. Tons of people have read books on Flat Earth. Ever hear about Discworld by Terry Pratchett? His cosmology was way wackier and yet more coherent than yours, yet most of his fans still think Flat Earthers are crazy. Alright, so we are done for the day. Thank you, everyone, for hanging out for another fantastic Tinfoil Tuesday. I don't work again till, I think, Saturday, so the next 3 days are all ours. I will be back tomorrow, probably to do Sovereign Citizens. Surus raid? We can do Surus if he's on. So like I said, I'll be back all weekdays for the rest of the week, at least. And, let's see. Someone said Surus was live, right? Why aren't I seeing Surus? Oh, there he is. Took me a sec. Oh, good timing. Just starting. Alright, have a great night, everyone. See you later. If you're on YouTube, do me a favor and like the stream on your way out. Just hit the little thumbs up. And if you haven't already, give me a follow or a subscription on YouTube. Cool beans. See you later, everyone. See you tomorrow, hopefully. I mean, I'll be here. Hopefully you will be too. See you then. Bye, everyone.